You guys ready for this? I am. Ooh, I've been waiting all day to do this one. It's been a long day, man. Ooh. What up, Brunette? Good. All right, so here's what I'm going to tell you guys before we even start this. Listen, you got to understand numero uno, fucking numero uno. You need to study to show that you're approved, period. Fuck everybody else. Fuck them all. None of them are going to stand next to you in front of Jesus on the day you die. None of them are going to stand in front of you. He's the only one that will. He's the only one that will. In order for him to do that, you have to actually believe in him. And the only way to actually believe in him is to make sure that you line up with his words. If you trust in him, then you have to trust in his words. And if you don't line up with his words, then you don't trust in him. If you turn your back on his words, then you don't trust in him. You don't believe. Then you'll still be held to the law. You either believe or you don't. There's no in, there's no half in, half out, there's no riding the fence, there's no none of that. There is, if you still sin, you're of the devil. You either line up with the book or you don't. You either believe in his words and you put your faith in him or you don't. I'm telling you. It doesn't matter who you hear it from. What matters is that you hear it. It doesn't matter who you are. Don't ever short sell yourself. Don't ever do that. I made that mistake for 33 years as a sinner. Don't do it. Don't do it. That's what sinners do. They tell you that there's something wrong with you, and they make you feel like you're less than them. That's why society has the pecking order that it has, is because all the higher up sinners are telling the lower down sinners that they're worse sinners than they are, and blah blah blah. It's disgusting. Take yourself out of that. Fuck them. Read your Bible. Read your Bible. I want every one of you that does these shows with me to compare every word that comes out of my mouth with this book. Starting with Colossians 1:20, Jesus reconciled all things. Starting there, he reconciled all things. So every fucking word that comes out of my mouth is perfect. And following that, every word has to line up with the book. And it does. And that's why I welcome you to challenge me. Compare everything that comes out of my mouth to this book. And then you study to show yourself approved, and you make damn sure that you end up just like me. Not in life. Not in life. If you're successful, great. Awesome. God bless you with that. Good. I don't want anybody to end up like my life was. Ever. I wouldn't wish what I went through in my life on my worst enemy. But at the end of the day, every word that comes out of my mouth lines up with this book. And it's an honor to get to preach it with you guys. It's an honor to get to show you this. It's an honor to sit up here and do this. And I do so faithfully. And I'm telling you, that needs to be your number one concern. Clock's ticking. Look around you. Nothing is what it used to be. And it never will be again. It's only going to get worse. So tonight we're going to do 2 Samuel. I'm very excited. We're going to rock through the whole thing. It should go quick. I'd be lying if I said I didn't read most of it already today. So it's more story than anything. It's not instruction. It's just telling you how this came to be. And you know who David was, who Asa was, who these guys were that believe the same thing we believe. The ones that put their faith in God, like David did. The ones who trusted Jesus before Jesus was. That's the early rain, and we're the latter rain. The early rain are the ones that had to believe that he was going to come and do what he said he was going to do, and the latter rain is the ones that believe that he did come and do what he said he was going to do. Clock's ticking. So I'm excited. I hope you guys are ready for this. I also like these two because we don't get as many, we don't get as many hypocrites in the chat. Nobody wants to sit and read the Bible with us. They all want to say that I don't go by the Bible, but then they're never there for the actual Bible studies. It's kind of sad. It's actually really sad. And if you guys knew what I've been through the last 4 days, holy fuck, dude. I will say this though, man. I will say this. The new guy. I haven't revealed who he is or any of that yet, and I probably won't do it for a while. Well, I can't say a while. Maybe a few more days. But eventually I will. I'll tell you who he is, what he does, and how we all came to be. but we've been preaching to his family and childhood friends, everybody, showing them the gospel. And I'm going to tell you right now, this guy has put everything on the line for this, same as my family did. And it's neat. It's neat, and it hurts, and it's a lot of fucking different emotions watching him go through exactly what I've been through, and he's doing it. And I mean, just damn, just damn, like, oof. So I hope you guys are ready. Hope you brought your Bibles. Open up 2 Samuel. And, to start it off with, just thank you, Jesus. For real, just thank you, Jesus. Because I know for damn sure, without him, there's no way in hell I was going to be saved. So thank you, Jesus, for reconciling all things. Thank you for loving all men, enough to die for all men. And amen. So this should be good. This should be really good. Oh, I'm so excited. And what I think we'll do, because we're going to rock the whole book of 2 Samuel. And I'm tired. I tried to get a nap in before this. That did not happen. So, but we're going to rock the whole book of 2 Samuel. It's 24 chapters. I think we'll maybe take a break every 6 chapters. We'll take a couple of minutes and just sit and chit-chat and bullshit. If you guys got questions at that point, you can ask them in the chat. The halfway point, we'll do bathroom breaks and, whatever else comes our way. You never know with these, right? So, how's your day, Brunette? How you been? Come on, I know the 4 people watching. How was your day? I know Jaden's probably one of them. He's at work. Whatever the hell he's doing. But at the end of the day, I mean, seriously, how are you guys doing? Hope you're doing good. You do. You really, really do. Ooh. Yes. Oh, I'm so excited. Are you guys excited? I am. Brunette, you got your paper and pen and all that? Not too bad today. Good. Are you watching everything that's going down? Are you watching this whole thing? Holy shit, Brunette. Whew. And we'll find, that's the thing. When we do this, when you do it like that, you never know. You never know how far down the road one of them is just going to be like, you know what? Fuck. Because at the end of the day, what are they going to do? They're just going to keep serving sin over and over and over after seeing the verses 5,000 times in 4 days. That's what they're going to do, is just keep serving sin. It's fucked up. They're going to end up like Nick. They really are. They have no clue. And what's so fucked up is, like, the one dude, I think me and him would probably really get along really well on a normal day, but they just can't put down pride. So it is what it is. All right, man. You guys don't even know. I dread doing this some days. Not because I dread doing this. My voice and let's go. All right. Oh, yeah, I should do it. The verse down at the bottom of the screen, John 8:34. Jesus answered them, "Verily, verily, I say unto you, whosoever committeth sin is the servant of sin." If you still sin, then you're the servant of sin. It's very simple. It means you're not saved, period. It means you're not saved. And if you're going to try and say you are, then you're calling Jesus a liar. And I'm pretty sure Jesus never lied. Otherwise, he wouldn't be Jesus. We wouldn't remember him. He'd be just like every other sinner that got forgotten in history. All right, 2 Samuel chapter 1, verse 1. Now it came to pass after the death of Saul. I don't know if you guys remember, that's where we left off. Saul died. David was going through some shit because Jonathan got killed too. Not cool, but it is what it is. Now it came to pass after the death of Saul, when David returned from the slaughter of the Amalekites, and David had abode 2 days in Ziklag, it came even to pass on the 3rd day that, behold, a man came out of the camp from Saul with his clothes rent and earth upon his head. And so it was, when he came to David, that he fell on the earth and did obeisance. It's like bowing. And David said unto him, in fact, this is what we do. We can just go ahead and time him out right away. I'm not going to deal with that shit tonight. I haven't got time for his bullshit. It's all lies. He's a fucking liar. Serving us in. Obeisance, a gesture of movement of the body, such as a curtsy. It's a bow, an attitude of deference or homage. It's a bow. So, yeah, you can just go ahead and time out. Fucking good old Professor Dumbass. All right. It came to pass on the third day that, behold, a man came out of the camp from Saul with his clothes rent and earth upon his head. And so it was, when he came to David, that he fell on the earth and did obeisance. And David said unto him, From whence comest thou? And he said unto him, Out of the camp of Israel am I escaped. And David said unto him, How went the matter? I pray thee, tell me. And he answered, That the people are fled from the battle, and many of the people are fallen and dead, and Saul and Jonathan his son are dead also. This is where David finds out. And David said unto the young man that told him, How knowest that Saul and Jonathan his son be dead? And the young man that told him said, As I happened by chance upon Mount Gilboa, behold, Saul leaned upon his spear, and lo, the chariots and horsemen followed hard after him. And when he looked behind him, he saw me, and called unto me, and I answered, Here am I. And he said unto me, Who art thou? And I answered him, I am an Amalekite. He said unto me again, Stand, I pray thee, upon me, and slay me, for anguish is come upon me, because my life is yet whole in me. So I stood upon him and slew him, because I was sure that he could not live after that he was fallen. And I took the crown that was upon his head, and the bracelet that was on his arm, and have brought them hither unto my Lord. So the Amalekite and Saul brings David his shit. Well, what's weird, though, let's go back a second. Because that's, as we saw, 31:2. Then Saul said, His armor bearer, draw thy sword and thrust me through therewith. The uncircumcised come and thrust me through and abuse me, but his armor bearer would not, for he was sore afraid. Then Saul took his sword and fell upon it. And when his armor bearer saw that Saul was dead, he fell likewise upon his sword and died with him. So Saul died, and 3 sons. So it just didn't mention the Amalekite coming around. And it, in truth, I mean, the Amalekite may have just been saying he did it to boast his own reputation, saying that he killed Saul for him and took the crown. But at the end, it just doesn't end good for this guy. And David said unto him, From whence comest thou? And he said unto him, Out of the camp of Israel I am escaped. And David said unto him, How went the matter? I pray thee, tell me. And he answered, The people are fled from the battle, and many of the people are fallen and dead. And Saul and Jonathan his son are dead also. And David said unto the young man that told him, How knowest that Saul and Jonathan his son be dead? And the young man told him, and the young man that told him said, As I happened by chance upon Mount Gilboa, behold, Saul leaned upon his spear, and lo, the chariots and horsemen followed hard after him. And when he looked behind him, he saw me, and called unto me, and I answered, Here am I. And he said unto me, Who art thou? And I answered him, I am an Amalekite. He said unto me again, Stand, I pray thee, upon me, and slay me, for anguish is come upon me, because my life is yet whole in me. So I stood upon him and slew him, because I was sure that he could not live after that he was fallen. And I took the crown that was upon his head and the bracelet that was on his arm, and have brought them hither unto my Lord. Then David took hold on his clothes and rent them, and likewise all the men that were with him. And they mourned and wept and fasted until even, for Saul and for Jonathan his son, and for the people of the Lord, and for the house of Israel, because they were fallen by the sword. So David is. And David said unto the young man that told him, Whence art thou? And he answered, I am the son of a stranger, an Amalekite. And David said unto him, How wast thou not afraid to stretch forth thine hand to destroy the Lord's anointed? And David called one of the young men and said, Go near and fall upon him. And he smote him that he died. So the guy was, we don't know that he was lying. We don't know that he was telling the truth. We do know that to say something like that, I mean, he would have had to have had some balls to go to David, but he might have just been bringing David the crown and the bracelet to try and get on David's good side too. Anyway, it cost him his life. And David said unto him, Thy blood be upon thy head, and thy mouth hath testified against thee, saying, I have slain the Lord's anointed. And David lamented with his lamentation over Saul and over Jonathan his son. Also he bade them teach the children of Judah the use of the bow, and behold, It was written in the book of Jasher. Now, we're not going to get into that today. It's a story for another day. But it's not in the Bible. So also he bade them teach the children of Judah the use of the bow. Behold, it is written in the book of Jasher. Now, while we're getting into this, Brunette, make sure you separate Israel and Judah. Although we see them like today as one thing, they're two separate deals. There's a king of Israel, king of Judah. And there's, the different prophets. You'll see. The beauty of Israel is slain upon thy high places. The beauty of Israel is slain upon thy high places. How are the mighty fallen? Oh, I love when the book does that to people. How do the mighty fall? Oh, man. Tell it not in Gath, publish it not in the streets of Ashkelon, lest the daughters of the Philistines rejoice, lest the daughters of the uncircumcised triumph. So David didn't want anybody knowing about Saul being dead yet. So nobody would party about it. You mountains of Gilboa, let there be no dew, neither let there be rain upon you, nor fields of offerings, for there the shield of the mighty is vilely cast away, the shield of Saul, as though he had not been anointed with oil. From the blood of the slain, from the fat of the mighty, the bow of Jonathan turned not back, and the sword of Saul returned not empty. Saul and Jonathan were lovely and pleasant in their lives, and in their death they were not divided. They were swifter than eagles, they were stronger than lions. You daughters of Israel, weep over Saul, who clothed you in scarlet with other delights, who put ornaments of gold upon your apparel. How are the mighty fallen in the midst of battle, O Jonathan? Thou wast slain in thy high places. I am distressed for thee, my brother Jonathan. Very pleasant hast thou been unto me. Thy love to me was wonderful, passing the love of women. How are the mighty fallen, and the weapons of war perished? And it came to pass after this that David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up into any cities of Judah? And the Lord said unto him, Go up. And David said, Whither shall I go up? And he said, Unto Hebron. So David went up hither, and his two wives also, Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and Abigail, Nabal's wife, the Carmelite, and his men that were with him, the two that he rescued. Remember that. That's what I try. That's why I kind of always bring up stuff as we go, is to jog it into your memory, so that way you don't forget it either. And that's why I'll go back and read just to make sure it sticks. And his men that were with him did David bring up, every man with his household, and they dwelt in the cities of Hebron. And the men of Judah came, and there they anointed David king over the house of Judah. And they told David, saying that the men of Jabesh Gilead were they that buried Saul. And David sent messengers unto the men of Jabesh Gilead, and said unto them, Blessed be ye of the Lord, that you have showed this kindness unto your Lord, even unto Saul, and have buried him. And now the Lord show kindness and truth unto you, and I also will requite this kindness, because you have done this thing. Therefore now let your hands be strengthened, and be ye valiant, for your master Saul is dead, and also the house of Judah have anointed me king over them. But Abner, the son of Ner, captain of Saul's host, Abner, remember Abner, little dickhead, if I remember correctly. But Abner, the son of Ner, captain of Saul's host, took Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, and brought him over to Mahanaim, and made him king over Gilead, and over the Asherites, and over Jezreel, and over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, and over all Israel. Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and reigned 2 years. There you go. See? So this is Israel. Remember the separation? Boom. So, and made him king over Gilead, and over the Asherites, and over Jezreel, and over Ephraim, and over Benjamin, and over all Israel. So that would be Ishbosheth. Ishbosheth, Saul's son, was 40 years old when he began to reign over Israel, and reigned 2 years, but the house of Judah followed David. And the time that David was king in Hebron over the house of Judah was 7 years and 6 months. And Abner, the son of Ner, and the servants of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, went out from Mahanaim to Gibeon. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David went out. Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David went out and met together by the pool of Gibeon. And they sat down, the one on one side of the pool and the other on the other side of the pool. And Abner said to Joab, let the young men now arise and play before us. And Joab said, let them arise. So this is Abner, who's on Ishbosheth's side. And then you've got Joab, who's on David's side, both sitting in the same pool. And they say, why don't we let our guys play some games? And games back then ended in death. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah, and the servants of David went out and met together in the pool of Gibeon, and they sat down, the one on the one side of the pool and the other on the other side of the pool. And Abner said to Joab, let the young men now arise and play before us. And Joab said, let them arise. Then there arose and went over by number 12 of Benjamin, which pertained to Ishbosheth the son of Saul, and 12 of the servants of David. So they went out, 12 verse 12. And they caught every one of his fellow by the head, and thrust his sword in his fellow's side, so they fell down together. Wherefore that place was called Helkath Hazarim, which is in Gibeon. And there was a very sore battle that day, and Abner was beaten, and the men of Israel before the servants of David. And there were three sons of Zeruiah. There: Joab, Abishai, and Asahel. Whatever. There were three sons of Zeruiah there: Joab, Abishai, and Asahel. And Asahel was as light of foot as a wild roe. And Asahel pursued after Abner, and going, he turned not to the right hand nor to the left from following Abner. That comes up all the time. You guys know this. If you read this, like, that's how a believer is supposed to be. Not to the right hand, not to the left. Straight line. And Asahel pursued after Abner, and in going he turned not to the right hand nor to the left from following Abner. Then Abner looked behind him and said, art thou Asahel? And he answered, I am. And Abner said to him, turn thee aside to thy right hand or to thy left, and lay thee hold on one of the young men, and take thee his armor. But Asahel would not turn aside from following of him. And Abner said again unto Asahel, turn thee aside from following me. Wherefore should I smite thee to the ground? How then should I hold up my face to Joab thy brother? Howbeit he refused to turn aside. Wherefore Abner with the hinder end of the spear smote him under the fifth rib, that the spear came out behind him, and he fell down there and died in the same place. And it came to pass that as many as came to the place where Asahel fell down and died stood still. In all fairness, Abner did warn him. Joab also and Abishai pursued after Abner. And the sun went down when they were come to the hill of Ammah, that lieth before Giah, by the way of the wilderness of Gibeon. And the children of Benjamin gathered themselves together after Abner, and became one troop, and stood on the top of the hill. Then Abner called to Joab and said, shall the sword devour forever? Knowest thou not that it will be bitterness in the latter end? How long shall it be then ere thou bid the people return from following their brethren? And Joab said, as God liveth, unless thou hadst spoken, surely then in the morning the people had gone up, every one from following his brother. So Joab blew a trumpet, and all the people stood still, and pursued after Israel no more, neither fought they any more. And Abner and his men walked all that night through the plain, and passed over Jordan, and went through all Bithron, and came to Mahanaim. And Joab returned from following Abner. And when he had gathered all the people together, there lacked of David's servants 19 men and Asahel. But the servants of David had smitten of Benjamin and of Abner's men, so that 360 men died. So 360. So David lost 19. They lost 360. And they took up Asahel and buried him in the sepulchre of his father, which was in Bethlehem. And Joab and his men went all night, that they came to Hebron at the break of day. 2 Samuel chapter 3. Now there was a long war between the house of Saul and the house of David. But David waxed stronger and stronger, and the house of Saul waxed weaker and weaker. And unto David were sons born in Hebron, and his firstborn was Amnon of Ahinoam the Jezreelitess, and his second, Chileab of Abigail, the wife of Nabal the Carmelite, and the third, Absalom, the son of Maacah, the daughter of Talmai, the king of Geshur, and the fourth, Adonijah, and the son of Haggith, and the fifth Shephatiah, the son of Abital, and the sixth Ithream by Elga, David's wife. These were born to David in Hebron. So let's count how many, just out of curiosity. His firstborn was Amnon, and Ahinoam. Oh, no, Amnon. Second is Chileab. Third, Absalom. Adonijah. Fifth is Shephatiah. Sixth, Ithream. That's just six. 6 kids in Hebron. And it came to pass, while there was war between the house of Saul and the house of David, that Abner made himself strong for the house of Saul. And Saul had a concubine, whose name was Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah. And Ishbosheth said to Abner, Wherefore hast thou gone in unto my father's concubine? Then when Abner was very wroth for the words of Ishbosheth, and said, Am I a dog's head, which against Judah do show kindness this day unto the house of Saul thy father, to his brethren and to his friends, and have not delivered thee into the hand of David, that thou chargest me today with a fault concerning this woman? So do God to Abner, and more also, except as the Lord hath sworn to David, even so I do to him. I got to read this again. So Abner's all pissy about him sleeping with Saul's, Saul's dead, so sleeping with his wife. Then was Abner very wroth for the words of Ishbosheth, and said, Am I a dog's head, which against Judah do show kindness this day unto the house of Saul thy father, to his brethren, to his friends, and have not delivered thee into the hand of David, that thou chargest me today with a fault concerning this woman? So do God to Abner, and more also, except as the Lord hath sworn to David, even so I do to him, to translate the kingdom from the house of Saul, and to set up the throne of David over Israel, over Judah, from Dan even to Beersheba. And he could not answer Abner a word again, because he feared him. See, that's where Abner said, Ishbosheth, if you say one more fucking word to me about this, I promise you will lose everything you have, and I will hand it all to David. And Ishbosheth shut his mouth. And Abner sent messengers to David on his behalf, saying, Whose is the land? Saying also, Make thy league with me, and behold, my hand shall be with thee, to bring about all Israel unto thee. And he said, Well, I will make a league with thee, but one thing I require of thee, that is, thou shalt not see my face, except thou first bring Michal, Saul's daughter, when thou comest to see my face. And David sent messengers to Ishbosheth, Saul's son, saying, Deliver me my wife Michal, which I espoused to me for 100 foreskins of the Philistines. And Ishbosheth sent and took her from her husband, even from Phaltiel, remember, because Saul gave her to somebody else, even from Phaltiel, the son of Laish, and her husband went with her, along weeping behind her, to Bahurim. Then said Abner unto him, Go, return. And he returned. And Abner had communication with the elders of Israel, saying, You sought for David in times past to be king over you. And Abner had communication with the elders of Israel, saying, You sought for David in times past to be king over you. Now, then do it. For the Lord hath spoken of David, saying, By the hand of my servant David, I will save my people Israel out of the hand of the Philistines, and out of the hand of all their enemies. And Abner also spake in the ears of Benjamin, and Abner went also to speak in the ears of David, and Hebron, all that seemed good to Israel, and that seemed good to the whole house of Benjamin. So Abner came to David in Hebron, and 20 men with him. And David made Abner and the men that were with him a feast. And Abner said unto David, I will arise and go, and will gather all. What up, Donnie? We love you, dude. I've been wondering where you're at, man. For real, for real. Check in. And Abner said unto David, I will arise and go, and will gather all Israel unto my lord the king. And Abner said unto David, I will arise and go, and will gather all Israel unto my lord the king, that they may make a league with thee, and that thou mayest reign over all that thine heart desireth. And David sent Abner away, and he went in peace. So now you see that Abner's a little fucking stink, dude. He helped Ishbosheth take his rightful role, right? And then screwed his dad's wife, and then he's screwing him out of it. God's keeping his promise to Saul about, his fucking family being done. And behold, the servants of David and Joab came from pursuing a troop and brought in a great spoil with them. But Abner was not with David in Hebron, for he had sent him away, and he was gone in peace. When Joab and all the host that was with him were come, they told Joab, saying, Abner, the son of Ner, came to the king, and he hath sent him away, and he is gone in peace. Then Joab came to the king and said, What hast thou done? Behold, Abner came unto thee. Why is it that thou hast sent him away, and he is gone? He is quite gone. Thou knowest Abner, the son of Ner, that he came to deceive thee, and to know thy going out and thy coming in, and to know all that thou doest. And when Joab was come out from David, he sent messengers after Abner, which brought him again from the well of Sirah. But David knew it not. And when Abner was returned to Hebron, Joab took him aside in the gate to speak with him quietly, and smote him there under the fifth rib, that he died for the blood of Asahel his brother. Ooh, Joab fucking got even. Good shit. I forgot about that part. Yeah, he didn't even tell David about it. And Joab knew that Abner was being a little fucking snake in the grass, so he just took care of the problem. That's good shit. It's a proverb that says that. Like, oh, it's good. And afterward, when David heard it, he said, I and my kingdom are guiltless before the Lord. And afterward, when David heard it, he said, I and my kingdom are guiltless before the Lord forever from the blood of Abner, the son of Ner. Let it rest on the head of Joab. Still, it is what it is. Let it rest on the head of Joab and on all his father's house, and let there not fail from the house of Joab one that hath an issue, or that is a leper, or that leaneth on a staff, or that falleth on the sword, or that lacketh bread. So Joab and Abishai his brother slew Abner, because he had slain their brother Asahel at Gibeon in battle. And David said to Joab and to all the people that were with him, Rend your clothes and gird you with sackcloth, and mourn before Abner. And King David himself followed the bier. And they buried Abner in Hebron, and the king lifted up his voice and wept at the grave of Abner, and all the people wept. And the king lamented over Abner and said, Died Abner as a fool dieth? He did. Thy hands were not bound, nor thy feet put into fetters. As a man falleth before the wicked men, so fellest thou. And all the people wept again over him. And when all the people came to cause David to eat meat while it was yet day, David sware, saying, So do God to me, and more also, if I taste bread, or aught else till the sun be down. And the people took notice of it, and it pleased them, as whatsoever the king did pleased all the people. For all the people and all Israel understood that day that it was not of the king to slay Abner, the son of Ner. And it wasn't. He was a captain, to Ishbosheth. So it should have been Ishbosheth, if anything. And the king said unto his servants, Know you not that there is a prince and a great man fallen this day in Israel? And I am this day weak, though anointed king. And these men, the sons of Zeruiah, be too hard for me. The Lord shall reward the doer of evil, according to his wickedness. True shit. Right there. The Lord shall reward the doer of evil according to his wickedness. Second Samuel 4. Farmer. And when Saul's son heard that Abner was dead in Hebron, his hands were feeble, and all the Israelites were troubled. So Ishbosheth, he got nervous. And Saul's son had two men that were captains of bands. The name of the one was Baanah, and the name of the other Reshab, the sons of Rimmon, a Beerothite. Oh. What? That's good. I wonder if that's the... some of you guys don't know. One of my favorite stories in the Bible is Jeremiah and the Rechabites. I'm just curious. I'll find out on my own. Samuel 4:2. I wonder if this Rechab was the beginning of the bloodline of the Rechabites. We're going to find out, though. And Saul's son had two men that were captains of bands. The name of one was Baanah, and the name of the other Rechab. The sons of Ramon, a Beerothite, of the children of Benjamin. Ah, fuck. Wait. And when Saul's son heard that Abner was dead in Hebron, his hands were feeble, and all the Israelites were troubled, rightfully so. And Saul's son, Ishbosheth, had two men that were captains of bands. The name of one was Baanah, and the name of the other Rechab. So these are the two captains. The sons of Ramon, a Beerothite. Okay, so Baanah and Rechab, whatever, they're brothers. The sons of Ramon, a Beerothite, of the children of Benjamin. So they're Benjamites. For Beeroth was reckoned to Benjamin. And the Beerothites fled to Gittaim and were sojourners there until this day. And Jonathan, Saul's son, had a son that was lame of his feet. He was 5 years old when the tidings came of Saul and Jonathan out of Jezreel, and his nurse took him up and fled. And it came to pass, as she made haste to flee, that he fell and became lame, and his name was Mephibosheth. These are fun. Mephibosheth. And the sons of Ramon, the Beerothite, Rechab and Baanah, went and came about the heat of the day to the house of Ishbosheth, who lay on a bed at noon. And they came thither into the midst of the house, as though they would have fetched wheat, and and they smote him under the fifth rib, and Rechab and Baanah his brother escaped. So they just killed Ishbosheth. For when they came into the house, he lay on his bed in his bedchamber, and they smote him and slew him and beheaded him and took his head and gat them away through the plain all night. And they brought the head of Ishbosheth unto David to Hebron, and said to the king, Behold, the head of Ishbosheth, the son of Saul, thine enemy, which sought thy life, and the Lord hath avenged my lord, the king this day of Saul and of his seed. And what you guys got to realize is, look, for David going through this, to have them bring the head of Ishbosheth, that's fucking sad for David. It's fucking killing David to have this happen. Jonathan was his best friend. Saul took him under his wing. He grew up with him. So, but God doesn't give a fuck. God doesn't care. God made a promise to David. God's going to keep it, even though David gets even with the people that keep that promise for God. It's all controlled by him. There's no way. It just is what it is. And David answered Rechab and Baanah his brother, the sons of Ramon the Beerothite, and said unto them, As the Lord liveth, who hath redeemed my soul out of all adversity, when one told me, saying, Behold, Saul is dead, thinking to have brought good tidings, I took hold of him. Oh, shit. Why does it do that? Okay. When one told me, saying, Behold, Saul is dead, thinking to have brought good tidings, I took hold of him and slew him in Ziklag, who thought that I would have given him a reward for his tidings. Remember, we were talking about that when it went down and the guy went to David. The guy was fucking lying. I don't think he actually killed Saul. He just took the crown and took the shit and brought it to David and tried to claim it to hopefully get a reward. Instead, he got killed. How much more when wicked men have slain a righteous person in his own house upon his bed? Shall I not therefore now require his blood of your hand and take you away from this earth? And David commanded his young men. They slew them and cut off their hands and feet and hanged them up over the pool in Hebron. But they took the head of Ishbosheth and buried it in the sepulchre of Abner in Hebron. So David revenged Saul. David revenged Abner. David revenged Ishbosheth. Just is what it is. What up, Jason? Oh, dude. Good shit. 2 Samuel chapter 5. Then came all the tribes of Israel to David unto Hebron, and spake, saying, Behold, we are thy bone and thy flesh. Then came all the tribes of Israel to David unto Hebron, and spake, saying, Behold, we are thy bone and thy flesh. Also in time past, when Saul was king over us, thou wast he that led us out and broughtest in Israel. Thou wast he that leddest out and broughtest in Israel. And the Lord said unto thee, Thou shalt feed my people Israel, and thou shalt be captain over Israel. So all the elders of Israel came to the king to Hebron, came to the king to Hebron, and King David made a league with them in Hebron before the Lord, and they anointed David king over Israel. So now David's not just king of Judah, he is also king of Israel. David was 30 years old when he began to reign, and he reigned 40 years. In Hebron, he reigned over Judah 7 years and 6 months, and in Jerusalem, he reigned 30 and 3 years over all Israel and Judah. And the king and his men went to Jerusalem unto the Jebusites, the inhabitants of the land, which spake unto David, saying, Except thou take away the blind and the lame, thou shalt not come in hither, thinking David cannot come in hither. See this? Jebusites. And the king and his men went to Jerusalem unto the Jebusites, the inhabitants of the land, which spake unto David, saying, Except thou take away the blind and the lame, thou shalt not come in hither, thinking David cannot come in hither. Okay, so they want the blind and the lame people away from him because they're dirty. They're beneath him. Nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion. The same is the city of David. That's how that worked. Nevertheless, David took the stronghold of Zion. The same is the city of David. And David said on that day, Whosoever getteth up to the gutter and smiteth the Jebusites and the lame and the blind that are hated of David's soul, he shall be chief and captain. Wherefore they said, The blind and the lame shall not come into the house. So David dwelt in a fort and called it the city of David. And David built round about from Millo and inward. And David went on and grew great, and the Lord God of hosts was with him. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David, and cedar trees, and carpenters, and masons, and they built David a house. Now we're going to take a sidestep here and look up. I'm going to go for it though. This is always fun, right? This is the best part about this, honestly. If you ask me, going through 1st, 2nd Samuel, 1st, 2nd Kings, and 1st, 2nd Chronicles, this is the best part about it. There. It's still there. Like, and these guys, people are like, oh, the Bible's not real. The Bible's not real. Oh, the fuck, it's not. Yeah, it is. I'm looking for his palace, which is Temple Mount, the city of David. Why don't they have his house? Anyway, it's still there. I mean, it's just is what it is. It's fucking beautiful, man. It's not a bad verse to have, though. And Hiram, king of Tyre. Oh, that's what I was going to show you. Tyre is just north of Israel on the shoreline of Israel. So you've got, it's going up and into Syria. So like you've got Israel's shoreline with the Mediterranean Sea, and then just north of that on the Syrian side is Tyre. And Hiram, king of Tyre, sent messengers to David, and cedar trees, and carpenters, and masons, and they built David a house. And David perceived that the Lord had established him king over Israel, and that he had exalted his kingdom from his people Israel's sake, for his people Israel's sake. And David perceived that the Lord had established him king over Israel, and that he had exalted his kingdom for his people Israel's sake. Okay. And David took him more concubines and wives out of Jerusalem. And he was come from Hebron, and there were yet sons and daughters born to David. And these be the names of those that were born unto him in Jerusalem: Shemua, and Shobab, and Nathan, and Solomon. Ibhar also, and Elishua, and Nepheg, and Jaffa, and Elishama, and Eliada, and Eliphalet. That's a pretty name, Eliphalet. It sounds too much like elephant, though, but Eliphalet. I like it. It's got a nice ring to it. But when the Philistines heard that they had anointed David king over Israel, all the Philistines came up to seek David. And David heard of it and went down to the hold. The Philistines also came and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And David inquired of the Lord, saying, Shall I go up to the Philistines? Wilt thou deliver them into mine hand? And the Lord said unto David, Go up, for I will doubtless deliver the Philistines into thine hand. So this is like David. He's just like, yo, can I go kill all these dudes? And God's like, yo, doubtless, you can go kill all those dudes. And David came to Baal Perazim, and David smote them there, and said, The Lord hath broken forth upon mine enemies before me as the breach of waters. Therefore he called the name of that place Baal Perazim. And there they left their images, and David and his men burned them. Burn that shit to the ground. And the Philistines came up yet again and spread themselves in the valley of Rephaim. And when David inquired of the Lord, he said, Thou shalt not go up, but fetch a compass behind them, and come upon them over against the mulberry trees. And let it be, when thou hearest the sound of a going in the tops of the mulberry trees, then thou shalt bestir thyself, for then shall the Lord go out before thee to smite the host of the Philistines. And David did so, as the Lord had commanded him, and smote the Philistines from Geba unto thou come to Gezer. Again, David gathered together all the chosen men of Israel, 30,000. And David arose and went with all the people that were with him from Baal of Baal. That's really how it would be pronounced in English, but Baal. And David arose and went with all the people that were with him from Baal of Judah to bring up from thence the ark of God, whose name is called by the name of the Lord, of hosts, that dwelleth between the cherubims. And they set the ark of God upon a new cart, and brought it out of the house of Abinadab that was in Gibeah. Remember the old cart that came with the mice, the golden mice and the golden emeralds? Remember that old cart? So they built it a new cart. And they set the ark of God upon a new cart, and brought it out of the house of Abinadab that was in Gibeah. And Uzzah and Ahio, the sons of Abinadab, drave the new cart. And they brought it out of the house of Abinadab, which was at Gibeah, accompanying the ark of God. And Ahio went before the ark. And David and all the house of Israel played before the Lord on all manner of instruments made of fir wood, even on harps, and on psalteries, and on timbrels, and on cornets, and on cymbals. And when they came to Nashon's threshing floor, Uzzah put forth his head. Uzzah, whatever. And when they came to Nashon's threshing floor, Uzzah put forth his hand to the ark of God, and took hold of it, for the oxen shook it. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and God smote him there for his error. And he died by the ark of God. Why? Because they're not supposed to touch it. Only a Levite. And the anger of the Lord was kindled against Uzzah, and God smote him there for his error, and there he died by the ark of God. And David was displeased, because the Lord had made a breach upon Uzzah, and he called the name of the place Peruzah to this day. Perazuzah. I don't know, it's Perazuzah. And David was afraid of the Lord that day, and said, How shall the ark of the Lord come to me? So David would not remove the ark of the Lord unto him into the city of David, but David carried it aside into the house of Obed-Edom, the Gittite. The ark of the Lord continued in the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite 3 months, and the Lord blessed Obed-Edom and all his household. It's weird. I read this to myself. I've got no problem. Like my brain just, right? But when I say it out loud, some of these names, it's tongue twisters for real. These verses sometimes. And the ark of the Lord continued in the house of Obed-Edom the Gittite 3 months, and the Lord blessed Obed-Edom and all his household. And it was told King David, saying, The Lord hath blessed the house of Obed-Edom, and all that pertaineth unto him, because of the ark of God. So David went and brought up the ark from the house of Obed-Edom into the city of David with gladness. And it was told King David, saying, The Lord hath blessed the house of Obed-Edom, because it was there for 3 months, and all that pertaineth to him because of the ark of God. So David went and brought up the ark of God from the house of Obed-Edom into the city of David with gladness. And it was so that when they bear the ark of the Lord, had gone 6 paces. When they that bear the ark. And it was so that when they that bear the ark of the Lord had gone 6 paces, he sacrificed oxen and fatlings. And David danced before the Lord with all his might, And David was girded with a linen ephod. Now this is going to be cool. So coming up, I'm not going to tell you the verses that are coming up right now, but I am going to tell you that right now you are about to find out that David is a full-blown believer, the same as us. Same shit as us. Same way, same thought process, same perfection, and I'm going to prove it. And it was so that when they that bear the ark of the Lord had gone 6 paces, he sacrificed oxen and fatlings. And David danced before the Lord with all his might. And David was girded with a linen ephod. So David and all the house of Israel brought up the ark of the Lord with shouting and with the sound of a trumpet. And the ark of the Lord came into the city of David. And as the ark of the Lord came into the city of David, Michal, Saul's daughter, looked through a window, David's wife, like his trophy wife. Michal, Saul's daughter, looked through a window and saw King David leaping and dancing before the Lord, and she despised him in her heart. She could not stand that David was out there having fun. And they brought in the ark of the Lord and set it in his place in the midst of the tabernacle that David had pitched for it. And David offered burnt offerings and peace offerings before the Lord. And as soon as David had made an end of offering burnt offerings and peace offerings, he blessed the people in the name of the Lord of hosts. And he dealt among all the people, even among the whole multitude of Israel, as well to the women as men, to everyone a cake of bread and a good piece of flesh and a flagon of wine. So all the people departed, everyone to his house. Then David returned to bless his household. And Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David and said, "How glorious was the king of Israel today, who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaids of his servants, as one of the vain fellows shamelessly uncovereth himself." Basically, David was running around outside naked, yo. And she threw a little hissy fit. Then David returned to bless his household, and Michal, the daughter of Saul, came out to meet David and said, "How glorious was the king of Israel today, who uncovered himself today in the eyes of the handmaids of his servants, as one of the vain fellows shamelessly uncovereth himself." And David said unto Michal, "It was before the Lord, which chose me before thy father, and before all his house, to appoint me ruler over the people of the Lord, over Israel. Therefore will I play before the Lord, and I will yet be more vile than this, and will be base in my own sight. And of the maidservants which thou hast spoken of them shall I be had in honor." Boom. Fucking boom. That's where David drops the hammer and he's like, "Shut your mouth, woman. Everything I do for the Lord. I will be more vile than this. I will be base in my own eyes. I will look like shit even to myself. And of the maidservants which you're speaking of, I'll be had of them in honor." That's faith. That's faith. It's trusting Jesus in absolutely everything. It is doing everything in his name, thanking him for everything in his name, trusting that he reconciled all things, including letting maidservants have you and being vile. All of it. David trusted him. And watch what happens. Therefore, Michal, the daughter of Saul, had no child unto the day of her death. So it'd be like this. If I stood up right now and got naked in front of all you guys and swung around the old hammer, and there was a whole bunch of girls watching, and my wife were to get pissed, I'd be like, "Oh, you're naked in front of all these people." And then I looked at her and said the same thing. "And I will yet be more vile than this, and I will be base in my own sight. And of the maidservants which thou hast spoken of them shall I be had in honor." And who caught the whip for that one? Was it the girl saying, "Oh, you're out there showing off your tidbits, you should put those away"? Who got the punishment? Or David, who was out there showing off his tidbits, getting fucked up with the maidservants? Who's the one that took the whip for it? Michal. She had no faith. So that's chapter 6. We'll take a step. So check the comments here. Professor Dumbass. Yeah, repent once. There is no fornication. I don't know what fornication, coveting, murdering, drinking. I don't know what any of that is because I'm not under that law. That's the thing. You're still under that law. You still think that you know better than God. He reconciled all things. We're not under law. We're under grace. I'm not under law. I don't know what any of that stuff is. I know what man's laws are, right? I know what man's laws are. Man's laws say don't kill somebody. So obviously I'm not going to kill somebody. If I do, it's still reconciled. We just watched David go to God and say, hey, can I go kill all these people? And God's like, fuck yeah, I got your back. That's how God works. He's got our back. If God be for us, who can be against us? Who can fucking stop the people of God? Nobody. Nobody. And if they do, they're going to pay. They're going to pay. Even though God promised Saul he was going to wipe him out, David still got even with everybody that fucked with him. David was a believer just like us. It's fucking awesome. It was before the Lord. Everything I do is before the Lord. Everything you do is before him. Either you're going to trust that he reconciled it all, or you're going to call yourself a sinner. And you're going to serve sin. And we're going to tell you he put it away. And you're going to keep telling us that no, he didn't? Come on, Professor Dumbass. You're smarter than that. How many times am I going to tell you he made you perfect on that cross? Now, how many times are you going to deny it? Why are you so rotten? I think I know a few people you'd get along with. Oh, shit. Hypocrites, man, all of them. All right. On to chapter 7. Oh, this will be good. I think an hour, 6 chapters. We'll see. Chapter 7. And it came to pass, when the king sat in his house, Brunette, you better be in this for the long haul. And it came to pass, when the king sat in his house, and the Lord had given him rest around. And it came to pass, when the king had sat in his house, and the Lord had given him rest round about from all his enemies, that the king said unto Nathan the prophet, see now, I dwell in a house of cedar, but the ark of God dwelleth within curtains. And Nathan said to the king, go, do all me. And it came to pass, when the king sat in his house, and the Lord had given him rest round about from all his enemies, that the king said to Nathan, okay, so this is not the Lord speaking to Nathan, this is David speaking to Nathan, that the king said unto Nathan the prophet, see now, I dwell in a house of cedar, but the ark of God dwelleth with curtains. And Nathan said to the king, go, do all that is in thine heart, for the Lord is with thee. And it came to pass that night that the word of the Lord came unto Nathan, saying, go and tell my servant David, thus saith the Lord, shalt thou build me a house for me to dwell in? Whereas I have not dwelt in any house since the time I brought up the children of Israel out of Egypt, even to this day, but have walked in a tent and in a tabernacle. And in all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel, spake I a word, which word? The Bible. Well, it is what it is. In all the places wherein I have walked with all the children of Israel, spake I a word with any of the tribes of Israel, whom I commanded to feed my people Israel, saying, why build ye not me a house of cedar? That's like God saying, I don't need a house, dude. What do you think? Now therefore, so shalt thou say unto my servant David, thus saith the Lord of hosts, I took thee from the sheepcote, from following the sheep, to be ruler over my people, over Israel. And I was with thee whithersoever thou wentest, and have cut off all thine enemies out of thy sight, and have made thee a great name, like unto the name of the great men that are in the earth. Moreover, I will appoint a place for my people Israel, and I will plant them, and they may dwell in a place of their own, and move no more, neither shall the children of wickedness afflict them any more as beforetime. Who are the children of wickedness? The people who still sin. And as since the time that I commanded judges to be over my people Israel, and have caused thee to rest from all thine enemies, also the Lord telleth thee that he will make thee an house. And when thy days be fulfilled, and thou shalt sleep with thy fathers, I will set up thy seed after thee, which shall proceed out of thy bowels, and I will establish his kingdom. He shall build a house for my name, and I will establish the throne of his kingdom forever. I will be his father, and he shall be my son. If he commit iniquity, I will chasten him with the rod of men and with the stripes of the children of men. But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before thee. So this is God making this promise to David. And this promise is mentioned again in Psalms. 7:15. I wonder if I have it right in here. Psalm 89:26. I do. Okay. It's the same promise. So I'm moving around here. Psalm 89:26. 2 Samuel 7:14. Hello. Okay. But my mercy shall not depart away from him, as I took it from Saul, whom I put away before thee. And thine house, talking to David, and thine house and thy kingdom shall be established forever before thee. Thy throne shall be established forever. According to all these words and according to all this vision, so did Nathan speak unto David. Then went King David in and sat before the Lord, and he said, Who am I, O Lord God, and what is my house that thou hast brought me hitherto? And this was yet a small thing in thy sight, O Lord God. But thou hast spoken also of thy servant's house for a great while to come. And is this the manner of man, O Lord God? And what can David say more unto thee? For thou, Lord God, knowest thy servant, for thy word's sake, and according to thine own heart hast thou done all these great things to make thy servant known them, to make my servant know them. Right here. For thy word's sake, and according to thine own heart hast thou done all these great things to make thy servant know them. Know what? His words. To make David trust his word. To trust him. It's always been about the word. It's always going to be about the word. Pulling them out of Egypt was all about the word. It was to get it so that you could believe in him. For thy word's sake, and according to thine own heart hast thou done all these great things to make thy servant know them. Wherefore thou art great, O Lord God, for there is none like thee, neither is there any God beside thee, according to all that we have heard in our ears. And what one nation in the earth is like thy people? And what one nation in the earth is like thy people, even like Israel, whom God went to redeem for a people to himself, and to make him a name, and to do for you great things and terrible for thy land before thy people, which thou redeemest to thee from Egypt, from the nations and their gods. For thou hast confirmed to thyself thy people Israel to be a people unto thee forever, and thou, Lord, art become their God. And now, O Lord God, the word that thou hast spoken concerning thy servant and concerning his house, establish it forever, and do as thou hast said. This, like David, God telling David, hey, I'm going to establish your throne forever. He was talking about Jesus. And David knew it. And when he talks about his people, Israel, David knew it was 144,000. David knew. And let thy name be magnified forever, saying, the Lord of hosts is the God over Israel. And let the house of thy servant David be established before thee. For thou, O Lord of hosts, God of Israel, hast revealed to thy servant, saying, I will build thee an house. Therefore hath thy servant found in his heart to pray this prayer unto thee. And now, O Lord God, thou art that God, and thy words be true. And thou hast promised this goodness unto thy servant. Right there, boom. And now, O Lord God, thou art that God, and thy words be true. God doesn't lie. God doesn't lie. Whoever sins is of the devil. Whoever is a real believer is free from sin. The only difference between a sinner and a believer is belief. That's the only difference. And now, O Lord God, thou art that God, and thy words be true, and thou hast promised this goodness unto thy servant. Therefore, now let it please thee to bless the house of thy servant, that it may continue forever before thee. For thou, O Lord God, hast spoken it, and with thy blessing let the house of thy servants be blessed forever. Professor Dumbass, it's in the Bible. I have the Bible. I don't need all that other shit. I just have the Bible. I just go by the book. That's what we do here. We just go by the book. If you're not going to go by the book, I will remove you. 2 Samuel chapter 8, verse 1. And after this it came to pass that David smote the Philistines and subdued them. And David took Metheg-gamah out of the hand of the Philistines. And he smote Moab and measured them with a line, casting them down to the ground. Even with 2 lines measured he to put to death, and with 1 full line to keep alive. And so the Moabites became David's servants and brought gifts. David smote also Hadadezer, the son of Rahab, the king of Zobah, as he went to recover his border at the river Euphrates. And David took from him 1,000 chariots and 700 horsemen and 20,000 footmen. And David hoed all the chariot horses, but reserved of them for 100 chariots. And when the Syrians of Damascus came to succor and Hadadezer, king of Zobah, and when the Syrians of Damascus came to succor, so they came to pick up the body, Hadadezer, king of Zobah, David slew of the Syrians 22,000 men. Whew. Then David put garrisons in Syria of Damascus. A garrison is like a battalion. It's like a massive group of soldiers. Then David put garrisons in Syria of Damascus. And the Syrians became servants to David and brought gifts. And the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went. And David took the shields of gold that were on the servants of Hadadezer and brought them to Jerusalem. And from Betah and from Berothai, cities of Hadadezer, King David took exceeding much brass. When Toi, you can look at it, Toi or Toy, when Toi, king of Hamath, heard that David had smitten all the host of Hadadezer, then Toi sent Joram his son unto King David to salute him and to bless him, because he had fought against Hadadezer and smitten him. For Hadadezer had wars with Toi, and Joram brought with him vessels of silver and vessels of gold and vessels of brass, which also King David did dedicate unto the Lord with the silver and gold which he had dedicated of all nations which he subdued, of Syria and of Moab and of the children of Ammon and of the Philistines and of Amalek and of the spoil of Hadadezer, son of Rahab, king of Zobah. And David gat him a name when he returned from smiting of the Syrians in the valley of Salt, being 18,000 men. And David gat him a name when he returned from smiting of the Syrians in the valley of Salt, being 18,000 men. And he put garrisons in Edom. Throughout all Edom put he garrisons, and all they of Edom became David's servants. And the Lord preserved David whithersoever he went. And David reigned over all Israel, and David executed judgment and justice unto all his people. And Joab, the son of Zeruiah, was over the host, and Jehoshaphat, the son of Ahilud, was recorder. And Zadok, the son of Ahitub, and Ahimelech, the son of Abiathar, remember him, were the priests. And Sariah was the scribe. And Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, was over both the Cherethites and the Pelethites, and David's sons were chief rulers. 2 Samuel 9. And David said, Is there yet any that is left of the house of Saul, that I may show him kindness for Jonathan's sake? And there was of the house of Saul a servant whose name was Ziba. And when they had called him unto David, the king said unto him, Art thou Ziba? And he said, Thy servant is he. And the king said, Is there not yet any of the house of Saul, that I may show the kindness of God unto him? And Ziba said unto the king, Jonathan hath yet a son, which is lame on his feet. And the king said unto him, Where is he? And Ziba said unto the king, Behold, he is in the house of Meshur, the son of Amiel, and Lodebar. Then King David sent and fetched him out of the house of Meshur, the son of Amiel, from Lodebar. Now when Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, was come unto David, he fell on his face and did reverence. This is the kid who was lame. And David said, Mephibosheth. And he answered, Behold, thy servant. And David said unto him, Fear not, For I will surely show thee kindness for Jonathan thy father's sakes. Fear not, for I will surely show thee kindness for Jonathan thy father's sake. And he had to keep the promise to Jonathan, because he made that promise the day that Jonathan agreed. When Archer was out there, he had to keep the promise. And will restore thee all the land of Saul thy father, and thou shalt eat bread at my table continually. And he bowed himself and said, What is thy servant, that thou shouldest look upon such a dead dog as I am? That's sad, because he's lame in his legs, you know. Then the king said to Ziba, Saul's servant, and said unto him, I have given unto thy master's son all that pertained to Saul and to all his house. Thou therefore and thy sons and thy servants shall till the land for him, and thou shalt bring in the fruits, that thy master's son may have food to eat. But Mephibosheth, thy master's son, shall eat bread always at my table. Now Ziba had 15 sons and 20 servants. Then said Ziba unto the king, According to all that my lord the king hath commanded his servant, so shall thy servant do. As for Mephibosheth, said the king, he shall eat at my table as one of the king's sons. And Mephibosheth had a young son, whose name was Micah. And all that dwelt in the house of Ziba were servants unto Mephibosheth. So Mephibosheth dwelt in Jerusalem, for he did eat continually at the king's table, and was lame on both his feet. Makes me feel bad for some of the cripples that I've preached to, because I wish they would listen. They just don't listen. They don't fucking listen. Nobody wants to fucking listen. Everybody keeps thinking that everybody keeps buying that sin bullshit. Second Samuel 10. And it came to pass after this that the king of the children of Ammon died, and Hanun his son reigned in his stead. Then said David, I will show kindness unto Hanun the son of Nahash, as his father showed kindness unto me. I'm going to start it over. And it came to pass after this that the king of the children of Ammon died. It came to pass after this that the king of the children of Ammon died, the Ammonites, and Hanun his son reigned in his stead. Sorry, I'm just confused because it didn't give the king's name. It just said his, and Hanun his son. Hanun just takes the place of the king of Ammon. Then said David, I will show kindness unto Hanun the son of Nahash. Okay, so Nahash was the dad. As his father showed kindness unto me. And yeah, that was when, was it the Ammonites? Where was David hiding out from Saul? And David sent to comfort him. Damn it, 2 Samuel 10. I did have it written down. See, these are the questions I ask myself. Let me show you. Right down here. You can see it right there. Written down right there. These are the questions I ask myself when I read. Like when you see, then said David, I will show kindness unto Hanun the son of Nahash, as his father showed kindness unto me. And David sent to comfort him by the hand of his servants for his father. And David's servants came into the land of the children of Ammon. That was 1 Samuel 27:2. So I'm going to pull it up. 1 Samuel 27, verse 2. And once you read through it enough times, you can't, your brain will automatically put it together. You'll spend some time looking for the shit, but your brain will put it together and then you'll know it. Boom, boom, boom. And when people ask you questions, you'll be like, and they'll just be stunned, astonished, because nobody knows the Bible like this, dude. 2 Samuel 27:2. 27:2. Right there. And David arose, and he passed over with 600 men that were with him unto Achish, the son of Maok, the king of Gath. And David dwelt with Achish at Gath, he and his men. It's Philistines. Is it? Has to be. I'm told Saul. From Gath, he's somewhere down, and David said unto Achish, if I give him 500 grace. Achish gave him Ziklag a day, wherefore Ziklag pertaineth Judah. That's definitely it. No. I'm going to find it before I go back. So we're at what? Then David said, I will show kindness unto Hanun, the son of Nahash, as his father showed. Let's see. Nahash showed kindness. All right, they're not giving the actual 2 Samuel. Okay. Now, where's first? First Samuel 22, 3 through 4. Let's try that. 1 Samuel 22. He said, "Forth and be with you, till I know what God will do for me." And he brought them before the king of Moab. It's Moab, though. And they dwelt there with all the people that was. Gad said to David, the prophet of Gad. It's the same thing. Same thing. Yep. So, yeah, 27, 1 Samuel 27, 2. And I would even, 22, 3, and 4. Because those were the people that were kind to David. Those are the ones that gave him a little spot where he could just chill so Saul couldn't kill him. All right, 2 Samuel 10. We'll start over. And it came to pass after this, the king of the children of Ammon died, and Hanun his son reigned in his stead. Then said David, I will show kindness unto Hanun the son of Nahash, as his father showed kindness unto me. That's the purpose of them. That's the moral of the story. The facts behind it are almost irrelevant. The moral, I can't even say moral, it's just David doing what he does. And David sent to comfort him by the hand of his servants for his father, and David's servant came into the land of the children of Ammon. And the princes of the children of Ammon said unto Hanun their lord, Thinkest thou that David doth honor thy father, that he hath sent comforters unto thee? Hath not David rather sent his servants unto thee to search the city and to spy it out and to overthrow it? I mean, it's probably a smart thing for them to think about. Wherefore Hanun took David's servants. Oh, no, here's where he fucked up. Wherefore Hanun took David's servants and shaved off the one half of their beards and cut off their garments in the middle, even to their buttocks, and sent them away. When they told it unto David, he sent to meet them, because the men were greatly ashamed. And the king said, Tarry at Jericho until your beards be grown, and then return. So they wouldn't be embarrassed. And when the children of Ammon saw that they stank before David, the children of Ammon sent and hired the Syrians of Beth-Rab and the Syrians of Zobah, 20,000 footmen, and a king of Maacah, 1,000 men, and of Ishtab, 12,000 men. So how many in total? 20,000 footmen, 32,000 men. And when David heard of it, he sent Joab and all the host of the mighty men, and the children of Ammon came out and put the battle in array at the entering into the gate, and of the Syrians of Zobah, and of Rahab, and Ishtab, and Maacah were by themselves in the field. When Joab saw that the front of the battle was against him, before and behind, he chose all the choice men of Israel and put them in array against the Syrians. And the rest of the people he delivered into the hand of Abishai, his brother, that he might put them in array against the children of Ammon. And notice this. David tried to do something nice for the unbelievers, and what did they do? They stabbed him in the fucking back. They shaved off half his servants' beards, cut their clothes in half, and sent them away embarrassed as fuck for no reason. And the rest of the people he delivered into the hand of Abishai, his brother, that he might put them in array against the children of Ammon. And he said, if the Syrians be too strong for me, then thou shalt help me. But if the children of Ammon be too strong for thee, then I will come and help thee. Be of good courage. Let us play the men for our people and for the cities of our God, and the Lord do that which seemeth good. And Joab drew near, and the people that were with him, unto the battle against the Syrians, and they fled before him. And when the children of Ammon saw that the Syrians were fled, then fled they also before Abishai, and entered into the city. So Joab returned from the children of Ammon and came to Jerusalem. And when the Syrians saw that they were smitten before Israel, they gathered themselves together, and Hadadezer sent and brought out the Syrians that were beyond the river, and they came to Halam. And Shobach, the captain of the host of Hadadezer, went before them. And when it was told David, he gathered all Israel together and passed over Jordan and came to Halam. And the Syrians set themselves in array against David and fought with him. And the Syrians fled before Israel, and David slew the men of the 700 chariots of the Syrians and 40,000 horsemen, and smote Shobach, the captain of their host, who died there. And when all the kings that were servants to Hadadezer saw that they were smitten before Israel, they made peace with Israel and served them. So the Syrians feared to help the children of Ammon anymore. Second Samuel 11. And it came to pass after the year was expired, at the time when the kings go forth to battle, that David sent Joab and his servants with him and all Israel, and they destroyed the children of Ammon and besieged Rabbah. But David tarried still at Jerusalem. And it came to pass in an evening tide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw, here we go. And it came to pass in an evening tide that David arose from off his bed and walked upon the roof of the king's house. And from the roof he saw a woman washing herself. And the woman was very beautiful to look upon. And David sent and inquired after the woman. And one said, Is not this Bathsheba, the daughter of Eliam, the wife of Uriah the Hittite? And David sent messengers and took her. And she came in unto him, and he lay with her. For she was purified from her uncleanness, and she returned unto her house. And the woman conceived and sent and told David and said, I am with child. And David sent to Joab, saying, Send me Uriah the Hittite. And Joab sent Uriah to David. Oh. And when Uriah was come unto him, David demanded of him how Joab did, and how the people did, and how the war prospered. And David said to Uriah, Go down to thy house and wash thy feet. And Uriah departed out of the king's house, and there followed him a mess of meat from the king. But Uriah slept at the door of the king's house with all the servants of his lord, and went not down to his house. And when they had told David, saying, Uriah went not down unto his house, David said unto Uriah, Camest thou not from thy journey? Why then didst thou not go down unto thine house? And Uriah said unto David, The ark and Israel and Judah abide in tents, and my lord Joab and the servants of my lord are encamped in the open fields. Shall I then go into my house to eat and drink, and to lie with my wife? As thou livest, and as thy soul liveth, I will not do this thing. And David said to Uriah, Tarry here today also, and tomorrow I will let thee depart. So Uriah abode in Jerusalem that day and the morrow. The loyalty in this guy was unfailing. And when David had called him, he did eat and drink before him, and he made him drunk. And at even he went out to lie on his bed with the servants of his lord, but went not down to his house. So even drunk, this guy didn't want to go see his wife. And it came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab, and sent it by the hand of Uriah. And he wrote in the letter, saying, Set ye Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle, and retire ye from him, that he may be smitten and die. And it came to pass. Oh shit! Damn! Like that's cold, dude. He sealed the letter, gave it to Uriah to give to Joab. Oh. And it came to pass in the morning that David wrote a letter to Joab, and sent it by the hand of Uriah. And he wrote in the letter, saying, Set ye Uriah in the forefront of the hottest battle, and retire ye from him, that he may be smitten and die. And it came to pass, when Joab observed the city, that he assigned Uriah unto a place where he knew the valiant men were. And the men of the city went out and fought with Joab, and there fell some of the people, the servants of David, and Uriah the Hittite died also. Then Joab sent and told David all the things concerning the war, and charged the messenger, saying, When thou hast made an end of telling the matters of war unto the king, and if so be that the king's wrath arise, and he say unto thee, Wherefore approached ye so near unto the city when ye did fight? Know you not that they would shoot from the wall? Hang on. And if so be, and charge the messenger, saying, When thou hast made an end of telling the matters of war unto the king, and if so be that the king's wrath arise, so David gets angry, and he says unto thee, Wherefore, why did you approach so near unto a city when you did fight? Didn't you know that they would shoot from the wall? Who smote Abimelech, the son of Jerubbesheth, did not a woman cast a piece of millstone upon him from the wall, that he died in Thebez? Remember that? When Abimelech went and she dropped the stone, so they kind of stayed back away from the walls. Why went you near the wall? Then say thou, thy servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. So the messenger went and came and showed David all that Joab sent him for. And the messenger said unto David, surely the men prevailed against us, and came out unto us in the field, and we were upon them even unto the entering of the gate. And the shooters shot from off the wall upon thy servants, and some of the king's servants be dead, and thy servant Uriah the Hittite is dead also. Then David sent unto the messenger, thus shalt thou say unto Joab, let not this thing displease thee, for the sword devoureth one as well as another. Make thy battle more strong against the city, and overthrow it, and encourage thou him. So that's where David was just like, it didn't even, like right there, it didn't even faze David. Didn't even faze him. He's like, don't even let this thing bother you. The sword kills one as well as another. It doesn't matter. Everybody, you go to war, you're going to die. And when the wife of Uriah heard that Uriah, her husband, was dead, she mourned for her husband. And when the mourning was past, David sent and fetched her to his house, and she became his wife and bare him a son. But the thing that David had done displeased the Lord. So David had no care for it in the beginning. None. He knew. He did it in faith. But it pissed God off. That's like, God is still a very jealous God. Very jealous. We're not under any law. All things are reconciled. He's still a very jealous God. All things are lawful. Not all things are expedient. The things that are not expedient that we do, they still have consequences. And the Lord sent Nathan unto David, and he came unto him and said unto him, there were two men in one city, the one rich and the other poor. The rich man had exceeding many flocks and herds, but the poor man had nothing, save one little ewe lamb, which he had bought and nourished up, and it grew up together with him and with his children. It did eat of his own meat, and drank of his own cup, and lay in his bosom, and was unto him as a daughter. And there came a traveler unto the rich man, and he spared to take of his own flock and of his own herd to dress for the wayfaring man that was come unto him, but took the poor man's lamb and dressed it for the man that was come to him. And David's anger was greatly kindled against the man. And he said to Nathan, as the Lord liveth, the man that hath done this thing shall surely die. So God tells Nathan, go tell David the story. Tell him the story as if this really happened. And David's anger was greatly kindled against that man. And he said to Nathan, as the Lord liveth, that man that hath done this thing shall surely die. So that's where David sealed his own paper. And he shall restore the lamb fourfold, because he did this thing, and because he had no pity. And Nathan said to David, thou art the man. Thus saith the Lord God of Israel, I anointed thee king over Israel, and I delivered thee out of the hand of Saul, and I gave thee thy master's house and thy master's wives into thy bosom, and gave thee the house of Israel and of Judah. And if that had been too little, I would moreover have given unto thee such and such things, whatever you want. Wherefore hast thou despised the commandment of the Lord, to do evil in his sight, that thou hast killed Uriah the Hittite with the sword, and hast taken his wife to be thy wife, and hast slain him with the sword of the children of Ammon? Now therefore the sword shall never depart from thine house, because thou hast despised me, and hast taken the wife of Uriah the Hittite to be thy wife. Thus saith the Lord, behold, I will raise up evil against thee out of thine own house, and I will take thy wives before thine eyes, and give them unto thy neighbor, and he shall lie with thy wives in the sight of this sun. For thou didst it secretly. That was the problem. He did it secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel and before the sun. And David said unto Nathan, this is where now his conscience is like, fuck. It wasn't that David did it. That's not what bothered him. What bothered him is that it pissed off God. And even in that, this is where David tries to say he sinned. He says, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said unto David, the Lord also has put away thy sin. Thou shalt not die. So even when David's trying to say he sinned, Nathan's like, no, God put it away. God put it away. It's done. It's over. There's nothing you can fucking do about it. It is done. God put it away. No worries. Howbeit, because by this deed, not sin, he calls it a deed. Howbeit, because by this deed thou hast given great occasion to the enemies of the Lord to blaspheme, which is a true statement. This is what people come into the chat all the time talking about. Well, David sinned, David sinned, David sinned. No, David didn't. The Lord put it away. David felt guilty after the fact, after God was pissed. That's when he got all fucked up about it. And I want you guys to tie this. And there's a really good tie to this. And you would never guess what it is. But it's in Acts. It's Acts chapter 24. Verse, I think it's 15. No, 16. Is it? Yeah. Acts 24:16. This is where Paul, when they were trying to accuse Paul of shit, it's the same thing. Like, I want to show you. Then Paul, after the governor had beckoned unto him to speak, answered, For as much as I know that thou hast been of many years a judge unto this nation, I do the more cheerfully answer for myself, because that thou mayest understand that there are yet but 12 days since I went up to Jerusalem to worship. And they neither found me in the temple disputing with any man, neither raising up the people, neither in the synagogues nor in the city. Neither can they prove the things whereof they now accuse me. But this I confess unto thee, that after the way which they call heresy, so worship I the God of my fathers, believing all things which are written in the law and in the prophets, and have hope towards God, that they themselves also allow that there shall be a resurrection of the dead, both of the just and unjust. And this is what Paul says. He says, And herein do I exercise myself to have always a conscience void of offense towards God and towards men. That is the mind frame of a believer, is a conscience void of offense. Can't sin. It's not possible. You see that in David's response to Michal. You see that in David's response to, oh shit, it's in the last chapter. So we're what, 12:14? You see it in his response to Joab when he tells Joab, don't even worry about it, man. Fucking as one person dies by the sword, so does another. David didn't feel guilty till he got caught. And God, I don't even think really would have been that pissed if he hadn't have done it in secret. Because that was God's biggest thing. He's like, you did this thing in secret. As believers, you're supposed to do everything out in the open. You're supposed to live honest. Live honest. That's the idea. Have always a conscience void of offense. You trust that all things are reconciled, so your conscience is always void of offense. When God told David, this pissed me off, David's conscience, the first thing David wanted to do was say he fucked up. That's the first thing David wanted to do. And herein do I exercise myself to have always a conscience to be void of offense towards God and towards men. I'm looking for one other verse. I don't think it's in 24. I think it's in Acts 18, where they accuse his accusations, what they accused Paul of. Right here. So this was the accusation of Paul. And when Galileo, the deputy of Achaia, was the deputy of Achaia, the Jews made insurrection with one accord against Paul and brought him to the judgment seat, saying, this fellow persuades men to worship God contrary to the law. So that was the accusation of Paul, because Paul was running around telling everybody, you're not under the law. It's not possible for you to sin. You just have to believe. You have to have a conscience void of offense. That's it. That's what belief is. It's trusting that Jesus reconciled all things, and it wipes your conscience completely clean. It's like a fresh start. All things become new. There is no sin. David's conscience got fucked up when God said it pissed him off. So the first thing David did was, oh, God, I've sinned. But Nathan shut him up. And everybody that talks about this story with David, they leave that out. They leave it out. David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said unto David, the Lord hath put away thy sin. Thou shalt not die. It wasn't even a split-second response. The minute David started saying some stupid shit like that, Nathan was like, no, God put it away. Like reminding him that's what Jesus is going to be for. The Lord hath also put away thy sin, thou shalt not die. If God puts away sin, then it doesn't count against you, which makes it not sin. Still a shitty fucking thing. Still a horrible fucking thing to do. Doesn't make it sin. God put it away. I'll keep going. And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said unto David, the Lord also hath put away thy sin, thou shalt not die. So anybody coming to you that ever says, well, David sinned, no, the fuck he didn't. God put it away. And then what's funny about that is that's the same argument that we have with unbelievers, right? We tell them, God made you perfect on the cross. Jesus died for you and made you perfect, wipes your conscience clean. He put away your sin. And then what do they say? No, I have to have sin. That's what they stick with. Because they don't actually believe that he put it all away. They don't believe it. They don't believe he reconciled all things. They don't believe. So when you got somebody that comes to you and says, no, David was a sinner. No, he wasn't. God put it away. And so you're going to have the same argument with them about that situation as you will about your own situation. When you say, I'm perfect because Jesus died for sin, he put away my sin, they say what? No, nobody's perfect. You can't be. Jesus did not do that. Jesus did not do that. Who do we have? The one asshole in here the other night? And he was like, Jesus did not reconcile all sin. That fucking dude, like, literally went against the book. And then it was the same argument we had with him about the same exact subject. But it's the same thing. And in this story, you're seeing the allegorical setup in the physical for the metaphysical, the word, right? For the prophecy of Christ. God put away David's sin by killing his son because Jesus hadn't been born yet. So God put away our sin by killing his own son, like he had asked Abraham to do, but didn't make Abraham do it. Do you guys see? I hope you understand. Yeah, they love to say, that's what they do. And anytime somebody says you're cherry picking, anytime you ever get accused of cherry picking, that's what they're saying. They're saying those verses don't count for them. Oh, you're just cherry picking. No, you're just trying to say that verse doesn't count to you. But that's the problem for them, is that those verses do count. They're going to count. And if they sin, they're the servants of sin. Like this fucking idiot right here. Other than your interpretation of scripture. I don't interpret it. It means what it says. You cannot find one single thing outside of your personal interpretation. No, the Bible says whoever sins is of the devil. That's what I go by. That's not an interpretation. That's the fact. And he calls me the idiot. But he's the one still serving sin. I'm here telling him that God put away his sin. He says, no, that's not possible. David didn't do that. When Nathan said God put it away, David said, okay. David didn't even fucking blink. He didn't blink when he did it. The only time he got upset is when he realized he pissed off God. And even then, Nathan was like, nope, it's done. It's put away. Don't worry about it. And David said unto Nathan, I have sinned against the Lord. And Nathan said unto David, the Lord hath also put away thy sin. Thou shalt not die. Howbeit, because by this deed thou hast given great occasion to the enemies of the Lord to blaspheme, the child also that is born unto thee shall surely die. And you could see this, the blood guilt too with David after that happened in Psalms, because he said, deliver me from blood guiltness, O Lord. Like, it did eat at him. And my advice to anybody out there is, if your conscience can't handle it, don't do it. It's very simple. If you can't handle the decision you're going to make, then don't do it. If you can't trust God in it and do it openly, don't do it. Ever since that's since the beginning. Because if you call it sin, then you serve the devil. And that's it. Howbeit, because by this deed thou hast given great occasion to the enemies of the Lord to blaspheme, the child also that is born unto thee shall surely die. And Nathan departed unto his house, and the Lord struck the child that Uriah's wife bare unto David, and it was very sick. David therefore besought God for the child, and David fasted, and went in, and lay all night upon the earth. And the elders of his house arose and went with him to raise him up from the earth, but he would not, neither did he eat bread with them. And it came to pass on the seventh day that the child died, and the servants of David feared to tell him that the child was dead. For they said, behold, while the child was yet alive, we spake unto him, and he would not hearken unto our voice. How will he then vex himself if we tell him that the child is dead? But when David saw that his servants whispered, David perceived that the child was dead. Therefore David said unto his servants, Is the child dead? And they said, He is dead. Then David arose from the earth, washed and anointed himself, changed his apparel, and came into the house of the Lord and worshipped. Then he came to his own house, and when he required, they set bread before him, and he did eat. Then said his servants unto him, What thing is this that thou hast done? Thou didst fast and weep for the child while it was alive. But when the child was dead, thou didst rise and eat bread. And he said, When the child was yet alive, I fasted and wept. For I said, Who can tell whether God will be gracious to me, that the child may live? But now he is dead. Wherefore should I fast? Can I bring him back again? Shall I go to him? But he shall not. I shall go to him, but he shall not return to me. And that's really where you see the trust that David had in God. The child's dead. Do you see David sitting there fucking feeling bad? Oh God, I'm so sorry. No, he got up, changed his fucking clothes, washed up, went and sat down and told his servants to bring his ass some food. David was a believer in full. And David comforted Bathsheba, his wife, and went in unto her and lay with her. That's the first thing he went and did was fuck the guy's wife again. Like, you guys, they don't register this shit. They don't look at this from an actual perspective of put yourself in this dude's shoes. Put yourself, because that's what this is. These guys were just like us. No different. No different. Same passions, same things. That's why David was like, damn, Bathsheba, you looking good by the fucking fountain. You looking good. I'm going to send my servants and they're going to come kidnap you. And you're going to do what I tell you. Shitty as it is, but that's where that does come in. And there's 1 Corinthians 2. I talk about this with people a lot. Because this is a very true statement. I've experienced this in my own life. The jealousy of God, not something you want to fuck with. I promise you, if you say you believe and you're putting the Bible on the shelf and you won't read it and you won't preach and you're not doing anything, I promise you, God does not play games. You will know when he's got a problem. He makes very sure. So in 1 Corinthians chapter 10, he says, you cannot drink of the cup of the Lord and the cup of devils. You cannot be partakers of the Lord's table and the table of devils. We all know this. You can't serve both. And what does he say in 1 Corinthians 10:22? Do we provoke the Lord to jealousy? Are we stronger than he? So even in 1 Corinthians, even in the New Testament, God is still a jealous God. He's like the most insane, clingy, needy, wants to be first in absolutely everything, wants to have rule of every aspect of your life, wants you to trust him in absolutely everything, kind of girlfriend and wife and husband, all at the same time. He's everything. Like, you don't want to make him jealous. All things are reconciled. But when other shit starts taking precedence over him in your life, he's going to let you know. He's going to let you know. And David comforted Bathsheba, his wife, and went in unto her and lay with her. And that's the beauty of the fucking personal relationship with God. That's the beauty of being a believer, is being able to have that with him. Oh, I can't stress this to you enough. And David comforted Bathsheba, his wife, and went in unto her and lay with her. And she bare a son, and he called his name Solomon, and the Lord loved him. And he sent by the hand of Nathan the prophet, and he called his name Jedediah, because of the Lord. And Joab fought against Rabbah of the children of Ammon, and took the royal city. And Joab sent messengers to David, and said, I have fought against Rabbah, and have taken the city of waters. Now therefore gather the rest of the people together, and encamp against the city, and take it, lest I take the city, and it be called after my name. And Joab sent messengers to David, and said, I have fought against Rabbah, and have taken the city of waters. Happy Father's Day. It is 12 o'clock. It is fucking midnight. It is Father's Day to we don't really do heathen days too much, but this is one of those. We do Father's Day, Mother's Day, whatever. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. It is midnight. I got to be the first one. Now therefore gather the rest of the people. Oh, sorry. And Joab sent messengers to David and said, I have fought against Rabbah and have taken the city of waters. Now therefore gather the rest of the people together and encamp against the city and take it, lest I take the city and it be called after my name. So Joab told David, get everybody else and go take that city, or I'm going to take it and call it after my name. And David gathered all the people together, and went to Rabbah and fought against it and took it. And he took their king's crown from off his head, the weight whereof was a talent of gold, with the precious stones, 72 pounds or more. And it was set on David's head, and he brought forth the spoil of the city in great abundance. And he brought forth the people that were therein, and put them under saws, and under harrows of iron, and under axes of iron, and made them pass through the bricklin. And thus did he unto all the cities of the children of Ammon. So David and all the people returned unto Jerusalem. Okay, I'm going to take a bathroom break since there's nobody in here. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Ooh. All right. Bada bing, bada boom, bada. All right. Okay. Oh, Burnett, you are still here. Okay, cool. Yeah, see? This is where this getting in the long haul. This takes discipline. It really does. But you've got to be able to say, okay, God, today I'm going to sit down, bless your word to my body, and boom, start and make sure you finish. 2 Samuel 13. And it came to pass after this that Absalom, the son of David, had a fair sister, whose name was Tamar. And that's obviously a daughter too, David. And that one. Okay, thank you. And it came to pass after this that Absalom, the son of David, had a fair sister, whose name was Tamar. And Amnon, the son of David, loved her. And Amnon was so vexed that he fell sick for his sister Tamar, for she was a virgin. Excuse me. And Amnon thought it hard for him to do anything to her. But Amnon had a friend whose name was Jonadab, the son of Shimeah, David's brother. And Jonadab was a very subtle man. And he said unto him, Why art thou, being the king's son, lean from day to day? Wilt thou not tell me? And Amnon said unto him, I love Tamar, my brother Absalom's sister. And Jonadab said unto him, Lay thee down on thy bed, and make thyself sick. And when thy father cometh to see thee, say unto him, I pray thee, let my sister Tamar come and give me meat, and dress the meat in my sight, that I may see it, and eat it at her hand. So Amnon lay down and made himself sick. And when the king was come unto him to see him, Amnon said unto the king, I pray thee, let Tamar my sister come, and make me a couple of cakes in my sight, that I may eat at her hand. Then David sent home to Tamar, saying, Go now to thy brother Amnon's house, and dress his meat. So Tamar went to her brother Amnon's house, and he was laid down. And she took flour and kneaded it and made cakes in his sight and did bake the cakes. And she took a pan and poured them out before him, but he refused to eat. And Amnon said, Have out all men from me. Have out all men from me. And they went out every man from him. And Amnon said to Tamar, Bring the meat into the chamber that I may eat of thine hand. And Tamar took the cakes which she had made and brought them into the chamber to Amnon her brother. When she had brought them unto him to eat, he took hold of her and said unto her, Come lie with me, my sister. And she answered him, Nay, my brother, do not force me, for no such thing ought to be done in Israel. Do not thou this folly. And I, whither shall I cause my shame to go? And as for thee, thou shalt be as one of the fools in Israel. Now therefore, I pray thee, speak unto the king, for he will not withhold me from thee. She's like, Look, dude, don't do it this way. Ask David, he'll give me to you. Howbeit he would not hearken unto her voice, but being stronger than she, forced her and lay with her. So instead of listening to her and just going to David, there's that not being honest thing. Then Amnon hated her exceedingly, so that the hatred wherewith he hated her was greater than the love wherewith he had loved her. And Amnon said unto her, Arise, be gone. Guilt. Oof. And she said unto him, There is no cause. This evil in sending me away is greater than the other that thou didst unto me. But he would not hearken unto her. Then he called his servant that ministered unto him and said, Put now this woman out from me and bolt the door after her. And she had a garment of diverse colors upon her. For with such robes were the king's daughters that were virgins apparelled. Then his servant brought her out and bolted the door after her. And Tamar put ashes on her head and rent her garments of diverse colors that was on her, and laid her hand on her head, and went on crying. And Absalom, her brother, said unto her, Hath Amnon thy brother been with thee? But hold now thy peace, my sister. He is thy brother, regarding not this thing. He is thy brother, regard not this thing. Don't even think about it. So Tamar remained desolate in her brother Absalom's house. But when King David heard of all these things, he was fucking pissed. He was very wroth. And Absalom spake to his brother Amnon, neither good nor bad. For Absalom spake unto his brother Amnon, neither good or bad. For Absalom hated Amnon, because he had forced his sister Tamar. And it came to pass after 2 full years that Absalom had sheep shearers in Baal Hazor, which is beside Ephraim. And Absalom invited all the king's sons. And Absalom came to the king and said, Behold now, thy servant hath sheep shearers. Let the king, I beseech thee, and his servants go with thy servant. And the king said to Absalom, Nay, my son, let us not all go now, lest we be chargeable unto thee. And he pressed him, howbeit he would not go, but blessed him. Then said Absalom, If not, I pray thee, let my brother Amnon go with us. And the king said unto him, Why should he go with thee? But Absalom pressed him that he let Amnon and all the king's sons go with him. You guys see where this is going. Now Absalom, these headphones. Okay. Now Absalom had commanded his servants, saying, Mark ye now when Amnon's heart is merry with wine. And when I say unto you, Smite Amnon, then kill him. Fear not. Have not I commanded you? Be courageous and be valiant. And the servants of Absalom did unto Amnon as Absalom had commanded. Then all the king's sons arose, and every man gat him up upon his mule and fled. And it came to pass, while they were in the way, the tidings came to David, saying, Absalom hath slain all the king's sons, and there is not one of them left. Then the king arose and tare his garments, and lay on the earth, and all his servants stood by with their clothes rent. And Jonadab, the son of Shimeah, David's brother, answered and said, Let not my lord suppose that they have slain all the young men of the king's sons. For Amnon only is dead, for by the appointment of Absalom this hath been determined from the day that he forced his sister Tamar. Now therefore let not my lord the king take the thing to his heart, to think that all the king's sons are dead, for Amnon only is dead. But Absalom fled, and the young men that kept the watch lifted up his eyes, and the young man that kept the watch lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, there came much people by the way of the hillside behind him. And Jonadab said unto the king, Behold, the king's sons come, as thy servant said, so it is. And it came to pass, as soon as he had made an end of speaking, that behold, the king's sons came and lifted up their voice and wept. And the king also and all his servants wept very sore. But Absalom fled and went to Talmai, the son of Ammihud, the king of Geshur, and David mourned for his son every day. So Absalom fled and went to Geshur, and was there 3 years. And the soul of King David longed to go forth unto Absalom, for he was comforted concerning Amnon, seeing that he was dead. So David was like, yeah, he's dead. I want to see my son. And now Joab, the son of Zeruiah, perceived that the king's heart was towards Absalom. And Joab sent to Tekoa, and fetched thence a wise woman, and said unto her, I pray thee, feign thyself to be a mourner, and put on now mourning apparel, and anoint thyself with oil, but be as a woman that hath had a long time mourned for the dead. And come to the king, and speak on this manner unto him. So Joab put the words in her mouth. And when the woman of Tekoa spake to the king, she fell on her face to the ground, and did obeisance, and said, Help, O king. And the king said unto her, What aileth thee? And she answered, I am indeed a widow woman, and mine husband is dead. And thy handmaid had 2 sons, and they 2 strove together in the field, and there was none to part them, but the one smote the other and slew him. And behold, the whole family is risen against thine handmaid. And they said, Deliver him that smote his brother, that we may kill him, for the life of his brother, whom he slew, and we will destroy the heir also. And so they shall quench my coal which is left, and shall not leave to my husband neither name nor remainder upon the earth. And the king said unto the woman, Go to thine house, and I will give charge concerning thee. And the woman of Tekoa said unto the king, My lord, O king, the iniquity be on me and on my father's house, and the king and his throne be guiltless. And the woman of Tekoa said unto the king, My lord, O king, the iniquity be on me and on my father's house, and the king and his throne be guiltless. And the king said, Whoever saith aught to thee, bring him to me, and he shall not touch thee any more. Then said she, I pray thee, let the king remember the Lord thy God, that thou wouldest not suffer the revengers of blood to destroy any more, lest they destroy my son. And he said, As the Lord liveth, there shall not one hair of thy son fall to the earth. Then the woman said, Let thine handmaid, I pray thee, speak one word unto my lord the king. And he said, Say on. And the woman said, Wherefore then hast thou thought such a thing against the people of God? For the king doth speak this thing as one which is faulty, in that the king doth not fetch home again his banished. For we must needs die, and are as water spilt on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. Neither doth God respect any person, yet doth he devise means that his banished be not expelled from him. Basically, she's going in front of him, giving a situation where she wants her other son protected, which, I mean, the story's all fake, right? Joab told her what to say, made up this whole story, so that way when she compared the situation and David said, No, I'll protect your son, she looked at the king and was like, Well, how come you're not doing it for your own? You know, Absalom is gone. But this is the kicker here. For we must needs die, and are as water spilt on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. Neither doth God respect any person. None. Zero. And there it is in the Old Testament, and that will go straight to Romans chapter 2, verse 11. God is no respecter of persons. It's in there a whole bunch of times, but really these, Romans 2:11 is the main one. And it goes all the way back, man. It goes all the way back to fucking Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Deuteronomy. Right there. For there's no respect of persons with God. It's in the Old Testament too. Neither doth God respect any person. It's the same thing. God does not respect any person. It doesn't matter who they are, how much money they have, what kind of house they got, what kind of car, career. It doesn't matter how much you give to the poor. It doesn't matter how big their congregation is. It doesn't fucking matter if they sin of the devil. God does not respect any person. You got to respect him and his word. It is not the other way around. He does not give a fuck about your opinions, and he does not give a fuck about the opinions of others at all. It's you need to respect his word and respect him and line up with his book, or don't. I dare you. For we must needs die, and are as water spilt on the ground, which cannot be gathered up again. Neither doth God respect any person, yet doth he devise means that is banished be not expelled from him. Now therefore that I am come to speak of this thing unto my lord the king, it is because the people have made me afraid. And thy handmaid said, I will now speak unto the king. It may be that the king will perform the request of his handmaid. For the king will hear to deliver his handmaid out of the hand of the man that would destroy me and my son together out of the inheritance of God. So she's like, you'll hear to deliver me out of the hand of the man that would destroy me and my son together out of the inheritance of God. Then thine handmaid said, the word of my lord the king shall now be comfortable, for as an angel of God, so is my lord the king to discern good and bad. Therefore the Lord thy God will be with thee. Then the king answered and said unto the woman, hide not from me, I pray thee, the thing that I shall ask thee. And the woman said, let my lord the king now speak. And the king said, is not the hand of Joab with thee in all this? So David fucking knew. He's like, did Joab put you up to this shit? And the king said, is not the hand of Joab with thee in all this? And the woman answered and said, as thy soul liveth, my lord the king, none can turn to the right hand or to the left from aught that my lord the king hath spoken. For thy servant Joab, he bade me, and he put all these words in the mouth of thine handmaid. To fetch about this form of speech hath thy servant Joab done this thing, and my lord is wise. She's like, you figured it out. You're wise, according to all the wisdom of an angel of God, to know all things that are in the earth. And the king said unto Joab, behold, now I have done this thing. Go therefore, bring the young man Absalom again. And Joab fell to the ground on his face and bowed himself and thanked the king. And Joab said, today thy servant knoweth that I have found grace in thy sight, my lord, O king, in that the king hath fulfilled the request of his servant. So Joab arose and went to Geshur and brought Absalom to Jerusalem. And the king said, let him turn to his own house, and let him not see my face. So Absalom returned to his own house and saw not the king's face. Joab's lucky he didn't get himself killed. But in all Israel there was none to be so much praised as Absalom for his beauty. From the sole of his foot even to the crown of his head, there was no blemish in him. And when he pulled his head, for it was at every year's end that he pulled it, because the hair was heavy on him, therefore he pulled it. He weighed the hair of his head at 200 shekels after the king's weight. And unto Absalom there were born 3 sons, and 1 daughter, whose name was Tamar, and she was a woman of fair countenance. So Absalom dwelt 2 full years in Jerusalem, and saw not the king's face. Therefore Absalom sent for Joab to have sent him to the king, but he would not come to him. And when he sent again for the second time, he would not come. Therefore he said unto his servants, see, Joab's field is near mine, and he hath barley there. Go and set it on fire. And Absalom's servants set the field on fire. Then Joab arose and came to Absalom to his house, and said unto him, wherefore have thy servants set my field on fire? And Absalom answered Joab, behold, I sent unto thee, saying, come hither, that I may send thee to the king, to say, wherefore am I come from Geshur? It had been good for me to have been there still. Now therefore let me see the king's face, and if there be any iniquity in me, let him kill me. So Joab came to the king and told him, and when he called for Absalom, he came to the king and bowed himself on his face to the ground before the king, and the king kissed Absalom. This is like an ancient version of, what was that show? Shameless. It's like an ancient version of Shameless. It's good. Hell of a family drama with these people. A lot of it. 2 Samuel 15. And it came to pass after this that Absalom prepared his chariots and horses, and 50 men to run before him. And Absalom rose up early and stood beside the way of the gate. And it was so that when any man that had controversy came to the king for judgment, then Absalom called unto him and said, of what city art thou? And he said, thy servant is from one of the tribes of Israel. And Absalom said unto him, see, thy matters are good and right, but there is no man deputed of the king to hear thee. So there's nobody, you have to wait. Absalom said, moreover, oh, that I were made judge in the land, that every man which hath any suit or cause might come unto me, that I would do him justice. And it was so, that when any man came to him to do him obeisance, he put forth his hand and took him and kissed him. And on this manner did Absalom to all Israel that came to the king for judgment. So Absalom stole the hearts of the men of Israel. And it came to pass, after 40 years, that Absalom said unto the king, I pray thee, let me go and pay my vow, which I have vowed unto the Lord in Hebron. For thy servant vowed a vow while I abode at Geshur in Syria, saying, If the Lord shall bring me again indeed to Jerusalem, then I will serve the Lord. And the king said unto him, Go in peace. So he arose and went to Hebron. But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, As soon as you hear the sound of... Oh, fucking Absalom. But Absalom sent spies throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, As soon as you hear the sound of the trumpet, then you shall say, Absalom reigneth in Hebron. And with Absalom went 200 men out of Jerusalem that were called, and they went in their simplicity, and they knew not anything. So these guys were just following. They had no clue what was about to happen. And Absalom sent for Ahithophel, the Gileonite, David's counselor, from his city, even from Gilo, where he offered sacrifices. And the conspiracy was strong, for the people increased continually with Absalom. And there came a messenger to David, saying, The hearts of the men of Israel are after Absalom. And David said unto all his servants that were with him in Jerusalem, Arise, and let us flee, for we shall not else escape from Absalom. Make speed to depart, lest he overtake us suddenly and bring evil upon us, and smite the city with the edge of the sword. And the king's servant said unto the king, Behold, thy servants are ready to do whatsoever my lord the king shall appoint. And the king went forth, and all his household after him, and the king left 10 women, which were concubines, to keep the house. And the king went forth, and all the people after him, and tarried in a place that was far off. And all his servants passed on beside him, and all the Cherethites, and all the Pelethites, and all the Gittites, 600 men, which came after him from Gath, passed on before the king. Then saith the king to Attai the Gittite, Wherefore goest thou also with us? Return to thy place and abide with the king, for thou art a stranger and also an exile. Then said the king to Attai the Gittite, Wherefore goest thou? Why are you going with us? Return to your place and abide with the king, for thou art a stranger and also an exile. Whereas thou camest but yesterday, should I this day make thee go up and down with us? Seeing I go whither I may, return thou and take back thy brethren. Mercy and truth be with thee. And Attai answered the king and said, As the Lord liveth, and as my lord the king liveth, surely in what place my lord the king shall be, whether in death or life, even there also will thy servant be. Who was the last person we heard say that? Wasn't that Ruth? It was Ruth. And David said to Attai, Go and pass over. And Attai the Gittite passed over, and all his men and all the little ones that were with him. And all the country wept with a loud voice, and all the people passed over. The king also himself passed over the brook Kidron, and all the people passed over towards the way of the wilderness. And lo, Zadok also and all the Levites were with him, bearing the ark of the covenant of God. And they set down the ark of God, and Abiathar went up, until all the people had done passing out of the city. And the king said unto Zadok, Carry back the ark of God into the city. If I shall find favor in the eyes of the Lord, he will bring me again and show me both it and his habitation. But if he thus say, I have no delight in thee, behold, here am I, let him do to me as seemeth good unto him. The king said also unto Zadok the priest, Art not thou a seer? Return into the city in peace, and your 2 sons with you, Ahimaaz the son, and Jonathan, Ahimaaz thy son, and Jonathan the son of Abiathar. See, I will tarry in the plain of the wilderness until there come word from you to certify me. Zadok therefore and Abiathar carried the ark of God again to Jerusalem, and they tarried there. And David went up by the ascent of Mount Olivet, and wept as he went up, and had his head covered, and he went barefoot, and all the people that was with him covered every man his head, and they went up, weeping as they went up. And one told David, saying, Ahithophel is among the conspirators with Absalom. And David said, O Lord, I pray thee, turn the counsel of Ahithophel into foolishness. And so this is where David's going to God, like, hey, can you turn my son's counselors' words into foolishness. And it came to pass that when David was come to the top of the mount where he worshipped God, behold, Hushai the Archite came to meet with him with his coat rent and earth upon his head, unto whom David said, If thou passest on with me, then thou shalt be a burden unto me. But if thou return to the city and say unto Absalom, I will be thy servant, O king, as I have been thy father's servant, hitherto so will I now be thy servant. Then mayest thou for me defeat the counsel of Ahithophel. So David's sending in his own little snake. And hast thou not there with thee Zadok and Abiathar the priest? Therefore it shall be that what things soever thou shalt hear out of the king's house, thou shalt tell it to Zadok and Abiathar the priests. Behold, they have with them their two sons, Ahimaaz, Zadok's son, and Jonathan, Abiathar's son, and by them you shall send unto me everything that you can hear. So Hushai, David's friend, came into the city, and Absalom came into Jerusalem. 2 Samuel 16. Ooh. This is brutal. And when David was a little past the top of the hill, behold, Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, met him with a couple of asses saddled, and upon them. And when David was a little past the top of the hill, behold, Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, met him with a couple of asses saddled, and upon them 200 loaves of bread, and 100 bunches of raisins, and 100 of summer fruits, and a bottle of wine. And when David was a little past the top of the hill, behold, Ziba, the servant of Mephibosheth, which was Jonathan's son, met him with a couple of asses saddled, and upon them 200 loaves of bread, and 100 bunches of raisins, and 100 of summer fruits, and a bottle of wine. And the king said unto Ziba, What meanest thou by these? And Ziba said, The asses be for the king's household to ride on, and the bread and the summer fruits for the young men to eat, and the wine, that such as be faint in the wilderness may drink. And the king said, And where is thy master's son? And Ziba said unto the king, Behold, he abideth at Jerusalem, for he said, Today shall the house of Israel restore me the kingdom of my father. Oh, shit. Then said the king to Ziba, Behold, thine are all that pertained unto Mephibosheth. And Ziba said, I humbly beseech thee that I may find grace in thy sight, my lord the king. My lord, O king. So when David came to Bahurim, behold, there came out a man of family of the house of Saul, whose name was Shimei, the son of Gera. He came forth and cursed still as he came, and he cast stones at David and at all the servants of the King David, and at all the servants of King David. And all the people and all the mighty men were on his right hand and on his left. And thus said Shimei when he cursed, Come out, thou bloody man, and thou man of Belial. The Lord hath returned upon thee all the blood of the house of Saul, in whose stead thou hast reigned, and the Lord hath delivered the kingdom into the hand of Absalom thy son. And behold, thou art taken in thy mischief, because thou art a bloody man. Then said Abishai the son of Zeruiah unto the king, Why should this dead dog curse my lord the king? Let me go over, I pray thee, and take off his head. And the king said, What have I to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah? So let him curse, because the Lord hath said unto him, Curse David. Who shall then say, Wherefore hast thou done also? What I like this is it does show, man, like David knows. And you can see it in this too. Even with all this shit going on, David's like, the only reason this guy's doing it is because God's allowing it. This, what you're watching David go through here, this is one of the hardest parts of being a believer, is when everything seems to go wrong. When it all seems to go wrong. You got to understand God's in control of that too. That has been one of the hardest lessons for my wife to learn in the last 4 years. She has learned it, thankfully. She does know. She trusts God and everything. She doesn't even argue anymore about anything. It's fucking awesome. But it is one of the hardest lessons to learn. And David shows here that that's his faith. And the king said, What have I to do with you, sons of Zeruiah? So let him curse, because the Lord hath said unto him, Curse David. Who shall then say, Wherefore hast thou done so? And David said to Abishai and to all his servants, Behold, my son, which came forth of my bowels, seeketh my life. How much more now? That is it really is. And David said to Abishai and to all his servants, Behold, my son, which came forth of my bowels, seeketh my life. How much more now may this Benjamite do it? Let him alone, and let him curse, for the Lord hath bidden him. It may be that the Lord will look on mine affliction, and that the Lord will requite me good for his cursing this day. He's like, God will get even. And as David and his men went by the way, Shimei went along on the hillside over against him, and cursed as he went, and threw stones at him, and cast dust. And the king and all the people that were with him came weary and refreshed themselves there. They humbly walked through it. David's a fucking king, and he just walked through it and took it. And Absalom and all the people of the men of Israel came to Jerusalem, and Ahithophel with him. And it came to pass, when Hushai the Archite, David's friend, was come unto Absalom, that Hushai said unto Absalom, God save the king, God save the king. And Absalom said to Hushai, Is this thy kindness to thy friend? Why wentest thou not with thy friend? So Hushai was the one that David sent to go make nice, play nice, and report everything to the priest's sons. And Absalom said to Hushai, Is this thy kindness to thy friend? Why wentest thou not with thy friend? And Hushai said unto Absalom, Nay, but whom the Lord and this people and all the men of Israel choose, his will I be, and with him will I abide. And again, whom should I serve? Should I not serve in the presence of his son? As I have served in thy father's presence, so will I be in thy presence. Then said Absalom to Ahithophel, Give counsel among you what we shall do. And Ahithophel said unto Absalom, Go in unto thy father's concubines, which he hath left to keep the house, and all Israel shall hear that thou art abhorred of thy father. Then shall the hands of all that are with thee be strong. Now remember, when God told David, God told him, he said, your neighbor's gonna handle your wives. I'm gonna do it in front of all of everybody. 16, 20, 19. Okay, 22. So they spread Absalom a tent on the top of the house, and Absalom went in unto his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. And that goes right back to chapter 12, verse 12. Show you here. 2 Samuel, chapter 12, verse 12. Right there. For thou didst it secretly, but I will do this thing before all Israel and before the sun. So it's just God keeping his word. And David understood that. He knew it was coming. And he took it like a man. So they spread Absalom a tent upon the top of the house, and Absalom went in unto his father's concubines in the sight of all Israel. And the counsel of Ahithophel, which he counseled in those days, was as if a man had inquired at the oracle of God. So was all the counsel of Ahithophel, both with David and with Absalom. 17. Moreover, Ahithophel said unto Absalom, Let me now choose out 12,000 men, and I will arise and pursue after David this night. And I will come upon him while he was weary. Oh, shit. Moreover, Ahithophel said unto Absalom, Let me now choose out 12,000 men, and I will arise and pursue after David this night. And I will come upon him while he was weary and weak-handed, and will make him afraid, and all the people that are with him shall flee, and I will smite the king only, and I will bring back all the people unto thee. The man to whom thou seekest is as if all returned. So all the people shall be in peace. And the saying pleased Absalom well, and all the elders of Israel. What a fucking douchebag. Seriously, because even David wouldn't kill Saul. Remember that? And look at Absalom's like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's kill my dad. That's just not going to end well. Then said Absalom, Call now Hushai the Archite also, and let us hear likewise what he saith. And when Hushai was come to Absalom, Absalom spake unto him, saying, Ahithophel hath spoken after this manner. Shall we do after his saying? If not, speak thou. And Hushai said unto Absalom, The counsel that Ahithophel hath given is not good at this time. For, said Hushai, thou knowest thy father and his men, that they be mighty men, and they be chafed in their minds, as a bear robbed of her whelps in the field. And thy father is a man of war, and will not lodge with the people. Behold, he is hid now in some pit or in some other place. And it will come to pass, when some of them be overthrown at the first, that whosoever heareth it will say, there is a slaughter among the people that follow Absalom. And he also that is valiant, whose heart is as the heart of a lion, shall utterly melt. For all Israel knoweth that thy father is a mighty man, and they which be with him are valiant men. Therefore I counsel that all Israel be generally gathered unto thee, from Dan even to Beersheba, as the sand that is by the sea, for multitude, that thou go to battle in thine own person. So shall we come upon him in some place where he shall be found, and we will light upon him as the dew falleth on the ground, and of him and all the men that are with him there shall not be left so much as a one. So Hushai tells him, no, let's not do this, even though Absalom's plan was probably really good. Hushai, being David's spy, so to speak, is like, no, gather everybody together and then let's go get him. Because then Hushai will let him know. You can see where it's going. Moreover, if he be gotten into a city, then shall all Israel bring ropes to that city, and we will draw it into the river, until there be not one small stone found there. And Absalom and all the men of Israel said, the counsel of Hushai the Archite is better than the counsel of Ahithophel. For the Lord had appointed to defeat the good counsel of Ahithophel, to the intent that the Lord might bring evil upon Absalom. Karma. Then said Hushai unto Zadok and to Abiathar the priest, thus and thus did Ahithophel counsel Absalom and to the elders of Israel, and thus have I counseled. Now therefore send quickly and tell David, saying, lodge not this night in the plains of the wilderness, but speedily pass over, lest the king be swallowed up, and all the people that are with him. Now Jonathan and Ahimaaz stayed by Enrogel, for they might not be seen to come into the city. And a wench went and told them, and they went and told King David. Nevertheless, a lad saw them and told Absalom. But they went both of them away quickly, and came to a man's house in Bahurim, which had a well in his court, whither they went down. And the woman took and spread a covering over the well's mouth, and spread ground corn thereon, and the thing was not known. And when Absalom's servants came, Nevertheless, the lad saw them and told Absalom, but they went both of them away quickly, and came to a man's house in Bahurim, which had a well in his court, whither they went down. Oh, they went into the well. And the woman took and spread a covering over the well's mouth, and spread the ground corn thereon, and the thing was not known. And when Absalom's servants came to the woman to the house, they said, where is Ahimaaz and Jonathan? And the woman said unto them, they be gone over the brook of water. And when they had sought and could not find them, they returned to Jerusalem. And it came to pass, after they were departed, that they came up out of the well, and went and told King David, and said unto David, arise and pass quickly over the water, for thus hath Ahithophel counseled against you. Then David arose, and all the people that were with him, and they passed over Jordan. By the morning light there lacked not one of them that was not gone over Jordan. And when Ahithophel saw that his counsel was not followed, he saddled his ass, and arose, and gat him home to his house, to his city, and put his household in order, and hanged himself, and died, and was buried in the sepulchre of his father, which was probably the best thing he could have done, because once Absalom is done, Ahithophel was fucked. Then David came to Mahanaim, and Absalom passed over Jordan, he and all the men of Israel with him. And Absalom made Amasa captain of the host instead of Joab, which Amasa was a man's son, whose name was Ithra, an Israelite, that went into Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, sister to Zeruiah. Okay. And Absalom made Amasa captain of the host instead of Joab, which Amasa was a man's son, whose name was Ithra, an Israelite, that went into Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, sister to Zeruiah, Joab's mother. So Israel and Absalom pitched in the land of Gilead. Abigail, the daughter of Nahash, wasn't that Abigail, the wife of Nabor? I'm pretty sure it was. And it came to pass, when David was come to Menahim, that Shobai, the son of Nahash of Rabbah, of the children of Ammon, and Mature, the son of Amiel of Lodbar, and you know what? I need to check that verse. Where am I at? 17. Sorry, guys. Hang on. It's kind of tied to it, but I'm not going to go there. Okay. And it came to pass when David was come to Mahanaim, that Shobai, the son of Nahash of Rabbah, the children of Ammon, and Machur, the son of Amiel of Lodabar, and Barzillai, the Gileadite of Roglim, brought beds and basins and earthen vessels, and wheat and barley and flour and parched corn and beans and lentils and parched pulse, and honey and butter and sheep and cheese of kine for David and for the people that were with him to eat. For they said, the people is hungry and weary and thirsty in the wilderness. What's cool is God's still taking care of David through all of this shit. And that's what, like, man, if you guys only knew. 2 Samuel 18. And David numbered the people that were with him and set captains of thousands and captains of hundreds over them. And David sent forth a third part of the people under the hand of Joab, and a third part under the hand of Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, Joab's brother, and a third part under the hand of Attai, the Gittite. And the king said unto the people, I will surely go forth with you myself also. But the people answered, Thou shalt not go forth, for if we flee away, they will not care for us. Neither if half of us die will they care for us. But now thou art worth 10,000 of us. Therefore now it is better that thou succor us out of the city. And the king said unto them, What seemeth you best, I will do. And the king stood by the gate side, and all the people came out by hundreds and by thousands. And the king commanded Joab and Abishai and Attai, saying, Deal gently for my sake with the young man, even with Absalom. And all the people heard when the king gave all the captains charge concerning Absalom. Even then, David's like, it's not his fault. Deal gently with him. So the people went out into the field against Israel, and the battle was in the wood of Ephraim, where the people of Israel were slain before the servants of David, and there was a great slaughter that day of 20,000 men. For the battle was there scattered over the face of all the country, and the wood devoured more people that day than the sword devoured. And Absalom met the servants of David, and Absalom rode upon a mule, and the mule went under the thick boughs of a great oak, and his head caught hold of the oak, and he was taken up between the heaven and earth, and the mule that was under him went away. And certain man saw it, and told Joab, and said, Behold, I saw Absalom hanged in the oak. So the branch caught him, and the donkey kept going, so it looked like he was just hanging. And told Joab, and said, Behold, I saw Absalom hanged in an oak. And Joab said unto the man that told him, and Joab said unto the man that told him, And behold, thou sawest him, and why didst not now smite him there to the ground? And I would have given thee 10 shekels of silver and a girdle. And the man said unto Joab, Though I should receive 1,000 shekels of silver in my hand, yet would I not put forth my hand against the king's son. For in our hearing the king charged thee and Abishai and Attai, saying, Beware that none touch the young man Absalom. Otherwise I should have wrought falsehood against my own life. For there is no matter hid from the king, and thou thyself wouldest have set thyself against me. Smart dude. Fucking smart dude. Because that's the truth. Joab would have instantly been like, Nope, he did it. Then said Joab, I may not tarry thus with thee. And he took 3 darts in his hand and thrust them through the heart of Absalom. Oh, shit. Then said Joab, I may not tarry thus with thee. And he took 3 darts in his hand and thrust them through the heart of Absalom while he was yet alive in the midst of the oak. And 10 young men that bare Joab's armor compassed about and smote Absalom and slew him. And Joab blew the trumpet. I mean, we all knew it was coming. You don't really, you're fucking with the king. And the king's captains care about that king more than anything else in life. More even than the king's command. Their job is to see to it that David survives. Their job is to see to it that David remains king. Their job is to do their job. And though I know David and how he would be, I can't say either way. I know how David's going to feel, but at the end, Absalom had it coming. And Joab blew the trumpet, and the people returned from pursuing after Israel. And Joab held back the people, and they took Absalom and cast him into a great pit in the wood, and laid a very great heap of stones upon him. And all Israel fled, everyone to his tent. Now Absalom in his lifetime had taken and reared up for himself a pillar, which is in the king's dale. For he said, I have no son to keep my name in remembrance. And he called the pillar after his own name and called it unto this day Absalom's place. I wonder if that's still there. Then said Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, let me now run and bear the king's tidings, how that the Lord hath avenged him of his enemies. And Joab said unto him, thou shalt not bear tidings this day, but thou shalt bear tidings another day. But this day thou shalt bear no tidings, because the king's son is dead. No, you don't tell him shit. Then said Joab to Cushai, go tell the king what thou hast seen. And Cushai bowed himself to Joab and ran. Then said Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok, yet again to Joab, but howsoever, let me, I pray thee, also run after Cushai. And Joab said, wherefore wilt thou run, my son, seeing thou hast no tidings ready? But however, said he, let me run. And he said unto him, run. Then Ahimaaz ran by the way of the plain and overran Cushai. Basically, both these guys are running to go snitch. And David sat between the two gates, and the watchman went up to the roof over the gate unto the wall, and lifted up his eyes, and looked, and behold, a man running alone. And the watchman cried, and told the king. And the king said, if he be alone, there is tidings in his mouth. And he came apace and drew near. And the watchman saw another man running, and the watchman called unto the porter, and said, behold, another man running alone. And the king said, he also bringeth tidings. And the watchman said, me thinketh the running of the foremost is like the running of Ahimaaz, the son of Zadok. And the king said, he is a good man, cometh with good tidings. And Ahimaaz called, said unto the king, all is well. And he fell down to the earth upon his face before the king, and said, blessed be the Lord thy God, which hath delivered up the men that lifted up their hand against my lord the king. And the king said, is the young man Absalom safe? And Ahimaaz answered, when Joab sent the king's servant, and me thy servant, I saw a great tumult, but I knew not what it was. And the king said unto him, turn aside and stand here. And he turned aside and stood still. So you could just picture that deep breath moment where David's just like, let me see what this next motherfucker's got to say. And behold, Cushai came, and Cushai said, tidings, my lord the king. For the Lord hath avenged thee this day of all them that rose up against thee. And the king said unto Cushai, is the young man Absalom safe? And Cushai answered, the enemies of my lord the king, and all that rise against thee to do thee hurt, be as that young man is. And the king was much moved, and went up to the chamber over the gate, and wept. And as he went, thus he said, O my son Absalom, my son, I'm going to fucking cry too. And the king was much moved, and went up to the chamber over the gate, and wept. And as he went, thus he said, O my son Absalom, my son Absalom, would God I had died for thee, O Absalom, my son, my son. Oof. I just, when shit like that happens in the Bible, when people's kids die, I just remember watching my mom when my sister got shot. And I know, like, I can't even help, like, you just can't help but feel that fucking pain, even though Absalom was a douche. Oh. 2 Samuel 19. Nice to take a breath. 6 more chapters to go, guys. And this is weird because it's like, this was almost a normal night. It's just so much all at once. Ooh. Something tells me Joab's not going to have a good day. Okay. 2 Samuel 19. Joab reproves David. And it was told Joab, behold, the king weepeth and mourneth for Absalom, and the victory that... And it was told Joab, behold, the king weepeth and mourneth for Absalom. And the victory that day was turned into mourning unto all the people. For the people heard say that day how the king was grieved for his son. So I think David just wanted Absalom to learn his place. And the people gat them by stealth that day into the city, as people being ashamed steal away when they flee in battle. But the king covered his face, and the king cried with a loud voice, O my son Absalom, O Absalom, my son, my son. And Joab came into the house of the king and said, Thou hast shamed this day the faces of all thy servants, And Joab came into the house to the king and said, Thou hast shamed this day the faces of all thy servants, which this day have saved thy life, and the lives of thy sons and of thy daughters, and the lives of thy wives and of the lives of thy concubines, in that thou lovest thine enemies and hatest thy friends. So Joab's like, dude, you're putting us all to shame. We love you, and you love your enemies instead of loving us. I'll do it again. And Joab came into the house to the king and said, Thou hast shamed this day the faces of all thy servants, which this day have saved thy life, and the lives of thy sons and of thy daughters, and the lives of thy wives and of the lives of thy concubines, in that thou lovest thine enemies and hatest thy friends. For thou hast declared this day that thou regardest neither princes nor servants. For this day I perceive that if Absalom had lived, and we all had died this day, then it had pleased thee well. But I want you guys to see this here. What did God call David? A man after his own heart, right? That's what God called David. And it's because of that that David was a man after God's own heart. It's because of this. Loved his enemies and hates the friends. For thou hast declared this day that thou regardest neither princes nor servants. For this day I perceive that if Absalom had lived, and we all had died this day, then it had pleased thee well. Now therefore arise, go forth, and speak comfortably unto thy servants. For I swear by the Lord, if thou go not forth, there will not tarry one with thee this night, and that will be worse unto thee than all the evil that befell thee from thy youth until now. Basically, he's saying, go talk to everybody, or we're all going to dip. Then the king arose and sat in the gate, and they told unto all the people, saying, Behold, the king doth sit in the gate. And all the people came before the king, for Israel had fled every man to his tent. And all the people were at strife throughout all the tribes of Israel, saying, The king saved us out of the hand of our enemies, and he delivered us out of the hand of the Philistines, and now he is fled out from the land of Absalom. And Absalom, whom we anointed over us, is dead in battle. Now therefore, why speak ye not a word of bringing the king back? And King David sent to Zadok and to Abiathar the priest, saying, Speak unto the elders of Judah, saying, Why are you the last to bring the king back to his house? Seeing the speech of all Israel is come to the king, even to his house. You are my brethren. And King David sent to Zadok and Abiathar the priests, saying, Speak unto the elders of Judah, saying, Why are you the last to bring the king back to his house? Seeing the speech of all Israel is come to the king, even to his house. You are my brethren, you are my bones and my flesh. Wherefore then are you the last to bring back the king? And say you to Amasa, Art thou not of my bone and of my flesh? God do so to me and more also, if thou be not captain of the host before me continually in the room of Joab. Joab just got fired. And he bowed at the heart of all the men of Judah, even as the heart of one man, so that they sent this word unto the king, Return thou and all thy servants. So the king returned and came to Jordan, and Judah came to Gilgal, and to meet the king, to conduct the king over Jordan. And Shimei, the son of Gera, a Benjamite, which was of Benjamin, hasted and came down with the men of Judah to meet King David. And there was 1,000 men of Benjamin with him, and Ziba, the servant of the house of Saul, and his 15 sons and his 20 servants with him, and they went over Jordan before the king. And now Ziba is the servant of Mephibosheth, right? Yeah, that's what it was. Mephibosheth, Jonathan's lame son. Just to remind you who these people are as we're going. And there went over a ferry boat to carry over the king's household, and to do what he thought good. And Shimei, the son of Gera, fell down before the king as he was come over Jordan. And he said unto the king, Let not my lord impute iniquity unto me, neither do thou remember that which thy servant did perversely in the day that my lord the king went out of Jerusalem, that the king should take it to his heart. For thy servant doth know that I have sinned. Therefore, behold, I am come to the first day of all the house of Joseph to go down to meet my lord the king. He manned up. But Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, answered and said, Shall not Shimei be put to death for this, because he cursed the Lord's anointed? And David said, What have I to do with you, you sons of Zeruiah, that you should this day be adversaries unto me? Shall there any man be put to death this day in Israel? For do not I know that I am this day king over Israel? Therefore the king said unto Shimei, Thou shalt not die. And the king sware unto him. He just wanted to forget it all ever happened. And Mephibosheth, that's what it is, Mephibosheth, the son of Saul, came down to meet the king. And he had neither dressed his feet, nor trimmed his beard, nor washed his clothes from the day the king departed until the day he came again in peace. And it came to pass, when he was come to Jerusalem to meet the king said unto him, Wherefore wentest thou not with me, Mephibosheth? And he answered, My lord, O king, my servant deceived me. For thy servant said, I will saddle me an ass, and I may ride thereon, and go to the king, because thy servant is lame. And he hath slandered thy servant unto my lord the king. But my lord the king is as an angel of God. Do therefore what is good in thine eyes. For all of my father's house were but dead men before the Lord the king, before my lord the king. Yet didst thou set thy servant among them that did eat at thine own table. What right therefore have I yet to cry any more unto the king? And the king said unto him, Why speakest thou any more of thy matters? I have said, Thou and Ziba divide the land. And Mephibosheth said unto the king, Yea, let him take all, for as much as my lord the king is come again in peace unto his own house. And Barzillai the Gileadite came down from Roglim, and went over Jordan with the king to conduct him over Jordan. Now Barzillai was a very aged man, even 80 years old, and he had provided the king of substance while he lay at Mahanaim, for he was a very great man. And the king said unto Barzillai, whatever, Come thou over with me, and I will feed thee with me in Jerusalem. And Barzillai said unto the king, How long have I to live, that I should go up with the king unto Jerusalem? I am this day I am 80 years old, and can I discern between good and evil? Can thy servant taste what I eat or what I drink? Can I hear any more the voice of singing men and singing women? Wherefore then should thy servant be yet a burden unto the Lord my king? Thy servant will go a little way over the Jordan with the king, and why should the king recompense it with me with such a reward? Let thy servant, I pray thee, turn back again, that I may die in mine own city, and be buried by the grave of my father and my mother. But behold, thy servant Chimham, let him go over with my lord the king, and do to him what shall seem good unto thee. And the king answered, Chimham shall go over with me, and I will do to him what shall seem good unto thee. And whatsoever thou shalt require of me, that will I do for thee. And all the people went over Jordan, and when the king was come over, the king kissed Barzillai and blessed him, and he returned unto his own place. Then the king went to Gilgal, and Chimham went on with him, and all the people of Judah conducted the king, and also half the people of Israel. And behold, all the men of Israel came to the king and said unto the king, Why have our brethren, the men of Judah, stolen thee away, and have brought the king and his household, and all David's men with him over Jordan? And all the men of Judah answered the men of Israel, Because the king is near kin to us. Wherefore then be ye angry for this matter? Why are you mad for this? Have we eaten all the king's cost, or hath he given us any gift? And the men of Israel answered the men of Judah and said, We have 10 parts in the king, and we have also more right in David than you. Why then did you despise us, that our advice should not be first had in bringing back our king? And the words of men of Judah were fiercer than the words of the men of Israel. So you can see where Israel and Judah are definitely two different deals. Chapter 20. And there happened to be there a man of Belial, whose name was Sheba, the son of Bichri, a Benjamite, and he blew a trumpet and said, We have no part in David, neither have we inheritance in the son of Jesse. Every man to his tents, O Israel. So every man of Israel went up from after David and followed Sheba, the son of Bichri, but the men of Judah clave unto their king from Jordan even to Jerusalem. And David came to his house at Jerusalem, and the king took 10 women his concubines, whom he had left to keep the house, and put them in ward and fed them, but went not in unto them. So they were shut up unto the day of their death, living in widowhood, because Absalom fucked them. Then said the king to Amasa, Assemble me the men of Judah within 3 days, and be thou here present. So Amasa went to assemble the men of Judah, but he tarried longer than the set time which he had appointed him. And David said to Abishai, Now shall Sheba the son of Bichri do us more harm than did Absalom. Take thou thy Lord's servants and pursue after him, lest he get him fenced cities and escape us. And there went out after him Joab's men, and the Cherethites, and the Pelethites, and all the mighty men, and they went out of Jerusalem to pursue after Sheba the son of Bichri. When they were at the great stone which is in Gibeon, Amasa went before them, and Joab's garment that he had put on was girded unto him, and upon it a girdle with a sword fastened upon his loins in the sheath thereof. And as he went forth, it fell out. And Joab said to Amasa, Art thou in health, my brother? And Joab took Amasa by the beard with the right hand to kiss him. But Amasa took no heed to the sword that was in Joab's hand. So he smote him therewith in the fifth rib, and shed out his bowels to the ground, and struck him not again, and he died. So Joab and Abishai his brother pursued after Sheba the son of Bichri. And one of Joab's men stood by him, and said, He that favoreth Joab, and he that is for David, let him go after Joab. And one of Joab's men stood by him, and said, He that favoreth Joab, and he that is for David, let him go after Joab. And Amasa wallowed in blood in the midst of the highway. And when the man saw that all the people stood still, he removed Amasa out of the highway into the field, and cast a cloth upon him, when he saw that everyone that came by him stood still. When he was removed out of the highway, all the people went after Joab to pursue after Sheba the son of Bichri. And when he went through all the tribes of Israel unto Abel, and to Beth-maachah, and all the Berites, and there they were gathered together, and went also after him. And they're going after Joab. And they came to besiege him in Abel of Beth-maachah. And they cast up a bank against the city, and it stood in the trench. And all the people that were with Joab battered the wall to throw it down. Then cried a wise man out of the city, Hear, hear, say, I pray you, unto Joab, Come near hither, that I may speak with thee. And when he was come near hither, the woman said, Art thou Joab? And he answered, I am he. Then she said unto him, Hear the words of thine handmaid. And he answered, I do hear. Then she spake, saying, They were wont to speak in old times, saying, They shall surely ask counsel at Abel. And so they ended the matter. I am one of them that are peaceable and faithful in Israel. Thou seekest to destroy a city and a mother in Israel. Why wilt thou swallow up the inheritance of the Lord? And Joab answered and said, Far be it from me that I should swallow up or destroy. The matter is not so. But a man of Mount Ephraim, Sheba, the son of Bichri, by name, hath lifted up his hand against the king, even against David. Deliver him only, and I will depart from the city. And the woman said unto Joab, Behold, his head shall be thrown down to thee over the wall. Then the woman went unto all the people in her wisdom, and they cut off the head of Sheba, the son of Bichri, and cast it out to Joab. And he blew the trumpet, and they retired from the city, every man to his tent, and Joab returned to Jerusalem unto the king. Okay, so he got the head. Now Joab was over all the host of Israel, and Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, was over the Cherethites and over the Pelethites. And Adoram was over the tribute. And Jehoshaphat, the son of Ahihud, was recorder. And Shiva was scribe. And Zadok and Abiathar were the priests. And Ira also the Jeriite was a chief ruler about David. Okay. 2 Samuel 21. Then there was a famine in the days of David, 3 years, year after year. David inquired of the Lord, and the Lord answered, It is for Saul and for his bloody house, because he slew the Gibeonites. And the king called. Then there was a famine in the days of David, 3 years, year after year. And David inquired of the Lord, and the Lord answered, It is for Saul and for his bloody house, because he slew the Gibeonites. And the king called the Gibeonites and said unto them, Now the Gibeonites were not of the children of Israel, but of the remnant of the Amorites. And the children of Israel had sworn unto them, and Saul sought to slay them in his zeal to the children of Israel and Judah. Wherefore David said unto the Gibeonites, What shall I do for you, and wherewith shall I make the atonement, that you may bless the inheritance of the Lord? And the Gibeonites said unto him, We will have no silver nor gold of Saul, nor of his house, neither for us shalt thou kill any man in Israel. And he said, What you shall say, that will I do. And he said, What you shall say, that will I do for you. They answered the king, The man that consumed us, and that devised against us that we should be destroyed from remaining in any of the coast of Israel, let 7 men of his sons be delivered unto us, and we will hang them up unto the Lord in Gibeah of Saul, whom the Lord did choose. And the king said, I will give them. But the king spared Mephibosheth, the son of Jonathan, the son of Saul, because of the Lord's oath that was between them, between David and Jonathan, the son of Saul. Remember that. David kept his word to Jonathan. Mephibosheth was untouchable. But the king took 2 sons of Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, whom she bare unto Saul, Armani and Mephibosheth, and 5 sons of Michal, the daughter of Saul, whom she brought up for Adriel, the son of Barzillai, the Mahalathite. And he delivered them into the hands of the Gibeonites, and he hanged them in the hill before the Lord. And they fell all 7 together, and were put to death in the days of harvest, in the first days, in the beginning of the barley harvest. And Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, took sackcloth. I gotta reread this again. Who did? Okay. But the king took the 2 sons of Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, whom she bare unto Saul, Armani and Mephibosheth, and the 5 sons of Michal, the daughter of Saul. David, how are you going to sit there and be like, I need a spark? No, dude, you just need to read. This isn't, Bible is not like fucking, this isn't TikTok, dude. This isn't TikTok. This is Bible. This is something you take serious. You discipline yourself. You take the time and you read it. There's nothing exciting about this other than what's written in the book. But the king took 2 sons of Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, whom she bare unto Saul. Rizpah, Aiah, whom she bare unto Saul. So Saul, Aiah was one of Saul's wife. 2 sons of Rizpah was the daughter between Saul and Aiah. Armani and Mephibosheth, and the 5 sons of Michal, the daughter of Saul, whom she brought up for Adriel, the son of Barzillai, the Mahalathite, and he delivered them into the hands of the Gibeonites, and they hanged them in the hill before the Lord. And they fell all 7 together, and were put to death in the days of the harvest, in the first days, in the beginning of barley harvest. And Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, took sackcloth and spread it for her upon the rock, from the beginning of the harvest until water dropped upon them out of heaven, and suffered neither the birds of the air to rest on them day by day, nor the beasts of the field by night. And it was told David what Rizpah, the daughter of Aiah, the concubine of Saul, had done. And David went and took the bones of Saul and the bones of Jonathan his son from the men of Jabesh Gilead, which had stolen them from the streets of Bethshan, where the Philistines had hanged them when the Philistines had slain Saul in Gilboa. And he brought up from thence the bones of Saul and the bones of Jonathan his son, and they gathered the bones of them that were hanged, and the bones of Saul and Jonathan his son buried they in the country of Benjamin and Zelah, in a sepulchre of Kish his father, and they performed all that the king commanded. And after that, God was entreated for the land. Moreover, the Philistines, David, if you want to remember it, you're going to have to read it more than one time. If you want to remember it, you're going to have to read it by yourself. Moreover, the Philistines had yet war against with Israel. Again, moreover, the Philistines had yet war again with Israel. And David went down, and his servants with him, and fought against the Philistines, and David waxed faint. And Ishbibbenab, which was of the sons of the giant, the weight of whose spear weighed 300 shekels of brass in weight, he being girded with a new sword, thought to have slain David. But Abishai, the son of Zeruiah, succored him, and smote the Philistine, and killed him. And the men of David sware unto him, saying, Thou shalt go no more out with us to battle, that thou quench not the light of Israel. And it came to pass after this, that there was again a battle with the Philistines at Gob. Then Sibbachai the Hushathite slew Saph. And it came to pass after this, that there was again a battle with the Philistines at Gob. Then Sibbachai the Hushathite slew Saph, which was one of the sons of the giant. And there was again a battle in Gob with the Philistines, where Elhanan, the son of Jeroregim, that's a fun one, Ja'aorahim, a Bethlehemite, slew the brother of Goliath the Gittite, the staff of whose spear was like a weaver's beam. Elhanan killed Goliath's brother. And there was yet a battle in Gath, where was a man of great stature, that on every hand had 6 fingers, and on every foot 6 toes, 24 in number, and he also was born to the giant, And what's cool about these giants is you can look this up. It's not hard to find them. The newspaper articles are buried, and the Smithsonian has hidden all the shit, all the skeletal remains and everything. But the giants have been found all over the world since the beginning, and they have 2 rows of teeth. They have that first set and a back set, just like a shark, and they've got 6 fingers and 6 toes. And there was yet a battle in Gath, where was a man of great stature, that had on every hand 6 fingers, and on every foot 6 toes, 24 in number. He also was born to the giant. And when he defied Israel, Jonathan, the sons of Shemaiah, the brother of David, slew him. These 4 were born to the giant in Gath, and fell by the hand of David and by the hand of his servants. And David, you know where you're wrong at? You know where you're wrong? Because Mary was from David. Mary was from David. She was direct descendant from David. And if you'll remember in the Old Testament, there was a couple of girls who had lost their dad and all their brothers, and they went to go seek to have inheritance in Israel. And it was given these women to have the inheritance. So a woman can be the woman from David's body is still from David's body. You're just a fucking ignorant prick. Dave hates Jesus. He hates everything about God. Dave doesn't keep the law. All Dave does is break the law over and over. Dave is a bitter, shell, rotten, fake Jew. And like Saul, he will be erased. 2 Samuel chapter 22. And David spake unto the Lord the words of the song in the day that the Lord had delivered him out of the hand of all his enemies and out of the hand of Saul. And he said, and I'm going to do this again. And David, I can't sin Dave, I'm saved. Can we just get rid of him? Get rid of him. Bye. And David spake unto the Lord the words of this song in a day that the Lord had delivered him out of the hand of all his enemies and out of the hand of Saul. And he said, the Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, the God of my rock. In him will I trust. He is my shield and the horn of my salvation, my high tower and my refuge, my savior. Thou savest me from violence. Ooh, you know what's cool about this? If you really pay attention to the wording here. So David says, the Lord is my rock. The Lord. Who's that? That's Jesus, right? Yeah, 22. David's prayer. Yeah, they're coming up. That's good. 22's got a lot of good shit in it. All right. And he said, the Lord is my rock. So who is that? That's Jesus. And we know that David knew Jesus because we know that Abraham knew the gospel. Galatians chapter 3, verse 8, plus Abraham was perfect. Job was perfect. Asa was perfect. These guys were perfect before Jesus because they knew Jesus was coming. And he said, the Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer. That's Jesus. The God of my rock. Okay. So you've got Jesus. Now the God of that rock, which is the Lord, which is God. All together. And he said, the Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer, the God of my rock, in him will I trust. He is my shield and the horn of my salvation, my high tower, my refuge, my savior. Thou savest me from violence. I will call on the Lord who is worthy to be praised. So shall I be saved from my enemies. When the waves of death compassed me, the floods of ungodly men made me afraid. The sorrows of hell compassed me about. The snares of death prevented me. In my distress, I called upon the Lord and cried to my God, and he did hear my voice out of his temple, and my cry did enter into his ears. Then the earth shook and trembled. The foundations of heaven moved and shook because he was wroth. There went up a smoke out of his nostrils, and fire out of his mouth devoured. Coals were kindled by it. He bowed the heavens also and came down, and darkness was under his feet. And he rode upon a cherub and did fly, and he was seen upon the wings of the wind. And he made darkness pavilions round about him, dark waters and thick clouds of the skies. Through the brightness before him were coals of fire kindled. The Lord thundered from heaven, and the Most High uttered his voice. And he sent out arrows and scattered them, lightning and discomfited them. And the channels of the sea appeared, and the foundations of the world were discovered. At the rebuke of the Lord, at the blast of the breath of his nostrils, he sent from above. He took me. He drew me out of many waters. He delivered me from my strong enemy and from them that hated me. For they were too strong for me. They prevented me in the day of my calamity, but the Lord was my stay. He brought me forth also into a large place. He delivered me because he delighted in me. The Lord rewarded me according to my righteousness, according to the cleanness of my hands. He hath recompensed me. For I have kept the ways of the Lord and have not wickedly departed from my God. Period. That's David saying right there, boom, I've believed in you since day one. I can't sin. For I have kept the ways of the Lord and have not wickedly departed from my God. For all his judgments were before me. And as for his statutes, I did not depart from them. I was also upright before him and have kept myself from mine iniquity. And this right here is where it shows you what real belief is. You keep yourself from your iniquity. All the shit you do, you thank Jesus for reconciling it all. You keep yourself from the iniquity of what you would have used to call iniquity. There is no sin. I was upright before him and have kept myself from mine iniquity. Therefore, the Lord hath recompensed me according to my righteousness, according to my cleanness in his eyesight. In his eyesight. That's perfection. With the merciful, thou wilt show thyself merciful. And with the upright man, thou wilt show thyself upright. With the pure means perfect. With the pure, thou wilt show thyself pure. And with the froward, the disobedient, thou wilt show thyself unsavory. So watch. With the pure, thou wilt show thyself pure. 2 Samuel 22:27 to Titus 1:15. Under the pure, all things are pure. So simple. So easy. It's right there in the Old Testament too. Unto the pure, all things are pure. But unto them that are defiled and unbelieving is nothing pure. But even their mind and conscience is defiled. And that's where, David, you're calling me brainwashed? But dude, you're the one that still serves sin. You're the one that's brainwashed. You're the one that keeps serving the devil. You're the brainwashed motherfucker. You're the one walking around in chains. You're the bitter old fuck complaining about everything. You, sir, serve the devil. You, sir, serve sin. I am not brainwashed. And neither are the people that know what the fuck we preach. Neither are the people that read the fucking Bible and understand that it means what it says. Unto the pure, all things are pure. To the pure, he will show himself pure. And with the froward, like you old fuck, he will show himself unsavory. And at the end, you, sir, are going to receive the wages of sin, which is death. Second death. And the afflicted people wilt thou save, but thine eyes are upon the haughty, and that thou mayest bring them down, like you, Dave. For thou art my lamp, O Lord, and the Lord will lighten my darkness. For by thee I have run through a troop. By my God I have leaped over a wall. As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is tried. He is a buckler to all that trust in him. As for God, his way is perfect. There is no other way. If you sin, you are of the fucking devil, period. That's so, it just is what it is. I didn't promise you shit, Evelyn. I haven't promised you a motherfucking thing other than if you believe, you'll be saved. But if you don't line up with the book, you don't fucking believe. If you don't take the time to learn it, then you don't believe it. It's very simple. As for God, his way is perfect. What's that verse you always quote? Cherie. All right. My brother's going to be, well, I hope he comes home soon. That'd be cool. Hang on, sorry. I'm looking for a verse to tie that to. We threw it in here. It's Deuteronomy something. Where did it go? Oh, where did it go? Yeah, Deuteronomy 32:4. So 2 Samuel 22:31 to Deuteronomy 32:4. Oh, it's fucking hot in here, and I can't have the fucking air conditioner on because I'm on this thing. Yep, you got it. Okay, cool. 32:4. right here. He is the rock. His work is perfect. For all his ways are judgment, the God of truth, and without iniquity. Just and right is he. Look at that. As for God, his way is perfect. The word of the Lord is tried. He is a buckler to all them that trust in him. For who is God save the Lord? And who is a rock save our God? Do you see how, again, he separates the two but calls them one? God is my strength and power, and he maketh my way. What? What does that say? What does David say? God is my strength and power, and he maketh my way perfect. Perfect. And you either trust that he did it, or you don't. You either fucking submit to Christ, which is the rock, which is the Lord, which is our God, or you're fucked. It's been since the beginning. 2 Samuel 22:33. God is my strength and power, and he maketh my way perfect. I say the same thing every fucking day. Thank you, Jesus, for making me perfect. Heavenly Father, in your infinite wisdom, you thought it. That's a hell of a sacrifice, man. And he did it. I will behave myself wisely in a perfect way. But when wilt thou come unto me? I will walk within my house with a perfect heart. That's what it is. You see it even in 2 Samuel. There's the gospel right there. It's David telling you he believes in Jesus. He trusts in God. Trust him. I'm glad that verse was in here. Whew. I know there's a bunch of them in here like that, but it's good. God is my strength and power, and he maketh my way perfect. What does anybody got to say to that? There ain't shit they can say to that. There's nothing they can say to that. He maketh my feet like hinds' feet, and sitteth me upon high places. He teacheth my hands to war, so that a bow of steel is broken by my arms. 22:35. That'll also go to Psalm 144, verse 1, I think. I don't know if it's the same thing, which is he teaches my fingers to war, which, I don't know. It just is what it is. He teaches my hands to war, so that a bow of steel is broken by mine arms. Thou hast also given me the shield of thy salvation, and thy gentleness hath made me great. The shield of my salvation. Where's that at? Ephesians chapter 6. Same shit. Same exact thing. We're all rolling on the same thing. Right? Choo. Oh my God. Where is it? Stand therefore, having your loins girded about with the truth, having on the breastplate of righteousness, your feet shod with the preparation of the gospel of peace, above all, taking the shield of faith, which is salvation, wherewith you shall be able to quench all the fiery darts of the wicked, and take the helmet of salvation and the sword of the Spirit, which is the word of God. That's what it is. Thou hast also given me the shield of thy salvation, and thy gentleness hath made me great. Thou hast enlarged my steps under me, so that my feet did not slip. Did not slip. I have pursued my enemies and destroyed them, and turned not again until I had consumed them. And I have consumed them and wounded them, that they could not arise. Yea, they are fallen under my feet. For thou hast girded me with strength to battle. Them that rose up against me hast thou subdued under me. Thou hast also given me the necks of mine enemies, that I might destroy them that hate me. They looked, but there was none to save, even unto the Lord, but he answered them not. Then did I beat them as small as the dust of the earth. I did stamp them as the mire of the street, and did spread them abroad. Thou also hast delivered me from the strivings of my people. Thou hast kept me to be the head of the heathen. A people which I knew not shall serve me. Strangers shall submit themselves unto me. As soon as they hear, they shall be obedient unto me. It's fucking awesome. Strangers shall fade away, and they shall be afraid out of their closed places. The Lord liveth, and blessed be my rock, and exalted be the God of my rock, the God of the rock of my salvation. The God of the rock, right? God of the rock, which is Christ. The Lord liveth, and blessed be my rock, and exalted be the God of the rock of my salvation. It's Jesus. It's exactly who he's talking about. It is God that avengeth me, and bringeth down the people under me, and that bringeth me forth from mine enemies. Thou hast also lifted me up on high above them that rose up against me. Thou hast delivered me from the violent man. Therefore I will give thanks unto thee, O Lord, among the heathen, and I will sing praises unto thy name. He is the tower of salvation for his king, and showeth mercy to his anointed, unto David, and to his seed forevermore. 2 Samuel 23. Now these be the last words of David. David, the son of Jesse, said, the man who was raised up on high, the anointed of God of Jacob, the sweet psalmist of Israel, said, the Spirit of the Lord spake by me, and his word was in my tongue. The God of Israel said, the rock of Israel spake to me. See how he always separates the two? He always separates the two, but they're one and the same. The God of Israel said, the rock of Israel spake to me. He that ruleth over men must be just, ruling in fear of God. And he shall be as the light of the morning when the sun riseth, even a morning without clouds, as the tender grass springing out of the earth by clear shining after rain. Although my house be not so with God, yet he hath made me an everlasting covenant, ordered in all things, and sure, for this is all my salvation and all my desire, although he make it not to grow. But the sons of Belial shall be all of them as thorns, thrust away, because they cannot be taken with hands. The sons of Belial, you know who those are? The thorns, the briars, right? Hebrews chapter 6, verse 8. This is a great verse to throw at somebody, right? It's outside of the realm of John 8:34, 1 John 3, 1 John 3:6, Romans 6:16. It's outside of those, but it's one that speaks the same nonetheless. It's the same exact thing. But that which beareth thorns and briars is rejected, and is near unto cursing, whose end is to be burned. The people who still sin are the sons of Belial. But the sons of Belial shall be all of them as thorns, thrust away, rejected, because they cannot be taken with hands. But the man that shall touch them must be fenced with iron and the staff of a spear, and they shall be utterly burned with fire in the same place. These be the names of the mighty men whom David had. The Tachmonite that sat in the east, sat in the seat, chief among the captains. The same was Adonai, the Azanite. He lifted up his spear against 800, whom he slew at one time. And after him was Eleazar, the son of Dodo, the Ahoite, one of the three mighty men with David when they defied the Philistines that were there gathered to battle, and the men of Israel were gone away. He arose and smote the Philistines until his hand was weary, and his hand clave unto the sword, and the Lord wrought a great victory that day, and the people returned after him only to spoil. And after him was Shammah, the son of Agi, the Harite. And the Philistines were gathered together into a troop, where there was a piece of ground full of lentils, and the people fled from the Philistines. But he stood in the midst of the ground and defended it, and slew the Philistines, and the Lord wrought a great victory. And three of the 30 chief went down and came to David in the harvest time unto the cave of Adullam, and a troop of the Philistines pitched in the valley of Rephaim. And David was then in a hold, and the garrison of the Philistines was then in Bethlehem. And David longed and said, Oh, that one would give me drink of water of the well of Bethlehem, which is by the gate. And the three mighty men brake through the host of the Philistines and drew water out of the well of Bethlehem that was by the gate, and took it and brought it to David. Nevertheless, he would not drink thereof, but poured it out unto the Lord. And he said, Be it far from me, O Lord, that I should do this. Is not this the blood of the men that went in jeopardy of their lives? Therefore he would not drink it. These things did these three mighty men. And Abishai, the brother of Joab, the son of Zeruiah, was chief among three. And he lifted up his spear against 300 and slew them, and had the name among the And Abishai, the brother of Joab, the son of Zeruiah, was chief among three, and he lifted up his spear against 300 and slew them, and had the name among three. Was he not most honorable of three? Therefore he was their captain, howbeit he attained not unto the first three. And Benaiah, the son of Jehoiada, the son of valiant man of Kabzeel, who had done many acts, he slew 2 lion-like men of Moab. He went down also and slew a lion in the midst of the pit in the time of snow. And he slew an Egyptian, a goodly man, and the Egyptian had a spear in his hand. But he went down to him with a staff and plucked the spear out of the Egyptian's hand and slew him with his own spear. These things did Benaiah the son of Jehoiada, and he had a name among the 3 mighty men. He was more honorable than 30. He was more honorable than the 30, but he attained not to the first 3, and David set him over his guard. Asahel, the brother of Joab. Asahel, the brother of Joab, was one of the 30. Elhanan, the son of Dodo of Bethlehem. Shema, the Harodite. Elkiah, the Harodite. Helez, the Palatite. Ira, the son of Ikesh, the Tekoite. Abiezer, the Anethothite. And Mebunai, the Hushathite. Salmon, the Aholite. Maharai, the Netophathite. Haleb, the son of Banah, a Netophathite. Atai, the son of Rabai, out of Gibeah of the children of Benjamin. Benaiah the Pirathonite. Hadai, of the brooks of Gaash. Abialban, the Arbathite, and Asmaveth, the Barhumite. Eliabah, the Shaalbanite of the sons of Jonathan. Shemarah, the Harite. Ahiam, the son of Sharar, the Harite. Eliaphilet, the son of Abasbai, the son of the Maachathite. Eliam, the son of Ahithophel, the Gilonite. Hezrai, the Carmelite. Perai, the Arbite. Igal, the son of Nathan of Zobah. Benai, the Gadite. Zelek, the Ammonite. Naharai, the Beerothite. Armor bearer to Joab, the son of Zuriah. Ira, an Ithrite. Gareb, an Ithrite. Uriah, the Hittite. 37 in all. 2 Samuel 24. We are there. And again, the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he moved David against them to say, go number Israel and Judah. And again, the anger of the Lord was kindled against Israel, and he moved David against them to say, go number Israel and Judah. For the king said to Joab, the captain of the host, which was with him, go now through all the tribes of Israel, from Dan even to Beersheba, and number ye the people, that I may know the number of the people. And Joab said to the king, now the Lord thy God add unto the people how many soever they be 100-fold, then that the eyes of my lord the king may see it. But why doth my lord the king delight in this thing? Notwithstanding, the king's word prevailed against Joab and against the captains of the host. And Joab and the captains of the host went out from the presence of the king to number the people of Israel. And they passed over Jordan and pitched in Aor on the right side of the city that lieth in the midst of the river of Gad. Oh, these things fucking hurt. Yeah, I don't need them. Okay. And they passed over the Jordan and pitched in Aor on the right side of the city that lieth in the midst of the river of Gad and toward Jazer. Then they came to Gilead and to the land of Tahit Mashadi, and they came to Danjaan, and about to Zidon. Then they came to Gilead and to the land of Tatimahadishi, and they came to Danjaan about Zidon, and came to the stronghold of Tyre, and to all the cities of the Hivites and of the Canaanites. And they went out to the south of Judah, even to Beersheba. So when they had gone through all the land, they came to Jerusalem at the end of 9 months and 20 days. And Joab gave the sum of the number of the people unto the king. And there were in Israel 800,000 valiant men that drew the sword, and the men of Judah were 500,000 men. And David's heart smote. So let's do 800, 500. That's over 1 million people. Yep. And there were in Israel 800,000 valiant men that drew the sword, and the men of Judah were 500,000 men. 1,300,000. And David's heart smote him after that he had numbered the people. And David said unto the Lord, I have sinned greatly in that I have done, and now I beseech thee, O Lord, take away the iniquity of thy servant, for I have done very foolishly. For when David was up in the morning, the word of the Lord came unto the prophet Gad, David's seer, saying, Go and say unto David, Thus saith the Lord, I offer thee 3 things. Choose thee one of them, that I may do it unto thee. So Gad came to David and told him, and said unto him, Shall 7 years of famine come unto thee in thy land? Or wilt thou flee 3 months before thine enemies while they pursue thee? Or that there be 3 days pestilence in thy land? Now advise, and see what answer I shall return to him that sent me. And David said unto Gad, I am in a great strait. Let us fall now into the hand of the Lord, for his mercies are great, and let me not fall into the hand of man. So the Lord sent a pestilence upon Israel from the morning even to the time appointed, and there died of the people from Dan even to Beersheba 70,000 men. And what you got to pay attention here is, even though David's like, fuck God, I fucked up, I sinned, blah, 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 God's saying, nope, I put it away, but pick one of these 3 things to, let's call it even. And when the angel stretched out his hand upon Jerusalem to destroy it, the Lord repented him of the evil, and said to the angel that destroyed the people, It is enough, stay now thine hand. And the angel of the Lord was by the threshing place of Araunah the Jebusite. And David spake unto the Lord when he saw the angel that smote the people, and said, Lo, I have sinned, and I have done wickedly. But these sheep, what have they done? Let thine hand, I pray thee, be against me, and against my father's house. And Gad came that day to David, and said unto him, Go up, rear an altar to the Lord in the threshing floor of Araunah the Jebusite. And David, according to the saying of Gad, went up as the Lord commanded. And Araunah looked and saw the king and his servants coming on toward him. And Araunah went out and bowed himself before the king on the face of the ground. And Araunah said, Wherefore is my lord the king come to his servant? And David said, To buy the threshing floor to build an altar unto the Lord, that the plague may be stayed from the people. And Araunah said unto David, Let my lord the king take and offer up what seemeth good unto him. Behold, here be oxen for burnt sacrifice, and threshing instruments, and other instruments of the oxen for wood. All these things did Araunah as a king give unto the king. And Araunah said unto the king, The Lord thy God accept thee. See? Boom, done. And the king said unto Araunah, Nay, but I will surely buy it of thee at a price. Neither will I offer burnt offerings unto the Lord my God of that which cost me nothing. So David bought the threshing floor and the oxen for 50 shekels of silver. And David built there an altar unto the Lord, and offered burnt offerings and peace offerings. So the Lord was entreated for the land, and the plague was stayed from Israel. Whew. Ooh. And there's where we're moving into next. Damn. 3.5 hours. That's not bad. That wasn't bad. That's not bad. 3.5 is not bad at all. Not till bad is like 10 hours. 10 hours is hard. 18 is painful. 18 is painful, especially when you do it a few days in a row. 3.5 is bad. The only hard part about this is I'm sitting on, like, wood, so it's just fucking oof. And it's not loud, so it's not like I can just, but it is what it is. Yeah, that was awesome. Dude, the whole book is awesome. The whole book is fucking awesome. And you hear David, he's like, I fucking sinned. But in reality, God's like, no, choose one of these 3 things. The sin's put away. And then you see in the chapter before, David's like, I'm perfect. David knew what perfect was. These people knew it. They knew it. They knew Jesus was coming. They knew what he was going to do. David believed in the promise. David was like, the rock of my salvation, the God of my rock. How can people miss that? And all the people that are like, oh, but David sinned. Again, it was before Jesus on top of that. So David's walking around telling everybody he's perfect, and Jesus hasn't even happened yet. He's just trusting the promises. And God, every time David's conscience got to him, God's like, no, I'll make it right. So it is what it is. Don't ever let people use that bullshit David excuse. It doesn't work. It ain't flying. David was perfect. God said so. David said so. The only thing that's even remotely questionable would be the shit you were with Uriah, but that was shitty shit. So, and it's caused a lot of problems for the last 4,000 years. A lot of problems. It's why a lot of people don't believe. It's why a lot of people don't believe. But God still put it away, put everything away. And that's what it is for us, man. He put it all away. All things reconciled. Jesus paid for it all. There is no sin. I did I was going to talk to you guys about this yesterday. So as you guys know, I did one time I tried to put up an Etsy. Sometimes every so often I get asked, where's the fucking t-shirts, right? Every so often I get asked. I understand people hate me with a fucking passion. Nobody wants to fucking help my family for nothing. Not for nothing. 9 times out of 10, the people that watch this, they want blood 9 times out of 10. So I know that, it's for the serious, especially if you're going to walk around with a shirt that says whoever sins is of the devil and real believers cannot sin, one of those. But I did find a guy, which through happenstance, I mean, just crazy, like things come full circle. I did find a guy who has a website who is willing to carry a couple of designs for me for people that ask. I don't know how it's going to be yet. We did come up with one. I ordered it. So I'm going to do an unboxing video of that whenever that gets here. I just did real believers cannot sin on the front and whoever sins is of the devil on the back. And then, of course, like underneath real believers cannot sin, it says 1 John 3:9, and on the back it's whoever sins is of the devil. And right under that is 1 John 3:8. So I'll do an unboxing. I'll unbox it the day I get it. I'll do a show. We'll do a Bible study and I'll pull it out of the box and see if it's worth shit. So if it is, then I'll let him carry the couple of designs and then I'll have that posted in the bottom. I don't know how that's going to go. I really don't know how that's going to go because that's what I'm looking for. I don't want to make any money off anything at all. I don't care. I don't want to make money off anything. That's not what I'm in this for. What I'm looking for is somebody that will carry the designs, that is already selling their own shit, that doesn't mind carrying the designs, that doesn't mind making a couple extra bucks when somebody goes from us buying a t-shirt. I'm good with that. I don't want anything for it. I just want, whatever. And it actually turned out to be cheaper for me to go through this dude than to go on Amazon and custom order it myself, which I find to be weird because I'm a big dude. I'm a 4X. So, what cost you guys $20 cost me 38. So it is what it is. I think it was 36 for me, but it's $20 per shirt from small all the way up to large. I think extra large is 22. 2X is like, it just $2 goes up $2, $2-3 every time after that. But if it all works out, great. If it doesn't, whatever. But at least I did order one myself, and so did somebody else. We did have somebody else order them. And if it works, I'll do the unboxing. If it works out, great. And if you guys see fit, that'd be cool too. And it'd be helping out this dude who's just starting out. And if he's got the balls to carry the design on his website, awesome. So, and I think if he keeps it up there, he'll actually do really well anyway with it because, it just is what it is. So with that being said, that was 2 Samuel. It will be in the playlist, Old Testament. It will be an Old Testament playlist. That's it. We knocked it out in one shot. Boom. How many is 1 Kings? Let's see what we're rolling with here. We might do it again. I don't mind doing it. I really don't. I enjoy it. We'll see. I might break it into 2, 11 and 11. But this is it. And you can see it in the Old Testament. These guys were fucking ruthless, man. And they didn't give a fuck. They didn't care what anybody thought. Do you see the drama in that family? Holy shit. That's worse than mine. That's and they were perfect. Fucking perfect. God's anointed, man. And that's what it is. We're all the same. We're all the same. I watched a movie the other night. I promised my family for like a week that we were going to do a movie night. We finally did. And my uncle suggested a movie to me, and it was Triangle of Sadness. That's what it's called. I don't know if you guys have seen it or not. It's very long. It's 2.5 hours. But we don't do movies in my house that often, so it's kind of a big deal. I researched the movies and what's it going to be about? Is it going to be good? What are the whole thing before we set up a fucking day so the entire family can come together? It's a pain in the ass. But it was, as far as like an artwork, trying to help understand what the director was trying to convey in his art as a movie, it's a fucking masterpiece. As far as a movie, not so much. But the premise of it is it's a complete dig at the rich. It's an embarrassment to people with money is what it really is. It shows, but at the end, if you guys want to watch it, it's Triangle of Sadness. It's on Prime for like $4, I think. Rent it for $4. Basically, the moral of it all is that every human being is swimming in their own shit. It doesn't matter how much money you have. It doesn't matter where you're from. It doesn't matter if you got a golden spoon in your mouth. It doesn't matter if you're the best fucking human being on earth. Everybody shits. Everybody wipes their ass unless you got a bidet. Right? At the end of the day, everybody shits. And the people that have bidets, when they get old, guess where they're shitting? In their pants. Guess where they started out shitting at? In their pants. Right? Jesus fixed that. Not the shitting part, but that you'd be swimming in your own shit. He made you perfect. Just trust it. I don't know what else to say. I really don't. It's really simple. It's very simple. Jesus died for sin. He took away the sin of the world. Sin does not exist. If you still believe in sin, then you serve the devil. And it goes for Jude Dave. Goes for Jude Dave. He's no different. He's no different than a Muslim. He's no different than a fake Christian. They all do the same sin, repent, repeat bullshit. Sin, repent, repeat. Sin, repent, repeat. Until they're old and nasty and bitter. And that's what that man is. It's a damn shame, though, because fucking Old Testament, man, it's the same as the new. It's the same exact as the new. So with all that being said, I love y'all very, 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 very much. And I salute the brethren. Thank you to everybody that rode through this with me. Please, on these ones, like, share, whatever. I appreciate it. Like, the likes do good. It moves it. They do get more views. The more likes they have, the more views they get. That is a true statement. So I do love y'all. Enjoy your night. And I mean, at the very latest, you'll see me Tuesday. If I can get on here before then you'll see me before then. Happy Father's Day to all the dads out there. If you celebrate that, heathen day shit, whatever, we do the Father's Day, Mother's Day thing. Let no man judge you, and holy day or whatever. It doesn't fucking matter what we do. I'm not under any law. So it's one day a year where the kids all love to come together. So I'm excited about today. It's like having 2 birthdays. I'm excited. I enjoy it, and I enjoy the time with the kids. So I love y'all. Read your Bibles. Hold people accountable to them. Abso-fucking-lutely. In order for you to be able to do that, though, and execute righteous judgment, you got to know the book. So read. Thank you, Shirley. Enjoy your night, guys. We love y'all. I salute the brethren. Everybody that's in the Skype, you already know. The fucking 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, Shirley. Skype, get it. Get it. Yeah. That's really all. I'll see you guys soon. We love you. Adios.